It's Thursday, the 17th of July. Paul English Live, number 96. We're here with you, and you're here with us for the rest of your lives. No, for the next few hours. Welcome to the show. And that was a quiet one for me. We just had a little technical thing there. Patrick, thank you very much for the update. We had a little failure there, sending the signal out to Radio Soapbox. But here we are on WBN 324. We're also on Rumble and YouTube. So welcome back. Hope you've all had a wonderful week. Weather's been fantastic again, although I've just been out for my pre-show preamble and ramble down to the seafront, which was... So it's very warm again today. It's quite muggy. We always like to start off with the weather, or at least I do. I'm always sort of very comfortable talking about the weather. And just trotted on down to the seafront, which is a mere couple of 100 yards away, to see these little, what do you call them, sailing boats. There's got to be a proper name for them. There must be a proper name for the type. They're like dinghies, 2 or 3 guys in them, that kind of thing, zooming around. But they were all coming out of the mist. It was quite wonderful, actually. So the fog, there's a sea fret in right now, and it's almost up to about 20 yards from the shoreline. So they were zooming in and out like ghost ships, which was very, very pleasant anyway. And full of English people. I just thought I'd let you know that. I know some of you are probably getting worried straight off. No, it wasn't. They weren't those sorts of boats, even though I guess we're not a million miles from where many of them crash land, which would be where? Kent, on the Kent coast and down places like that, and maybe all along the southeastern seaboard or whatever it's called these days. But they don't tend to sort of float down here. I've no idea why, and we're all relatively glad of it. Although I love everybody, as you all know. Anyway, that's just set the scene for this evening. But we're here with you, hopefully, for the next few hours, and you are with us too. You can catch us, of course, or tuned in on WBN 324. We're going out on Radio Soapbox, Holy Land Radio, Eurofolk Radio, Rumble, and YouTube. So if you're chatting away on Rumble and YouTube, we should see you as we thunder through an amazing array of topics which none of us are really aware what we're going to talk about. I've got a few things in mind, of course. We always have a few, but I've found that if we plan things too tightly, it's kind of pointless because we end up talking about something else anyway. Anyway, welcome to the studio, Eric. How are you this fine Essex evening? I'm assuming you're having a pretty good evening.
Excellent. Yes, excellent. We had a little bit of rain earlier, but when I say rain, you could count the spots that came down as hardly anything, because there's something weird happening. The rain keeps missing us, this part of southeast England. The clouds sort of part in sort of Kent and go either side of Hertfordshire and then join up after Hertfordshire. Isn't that a bit weird?
That's very weird. Yeah, very strange. Yeah, I mean, I'm always...
Just thought I'd mentioned it.
No, that's interesting.
Could it be 5G or something? I don't know.
It could be. Did you have... Oh, look, I'm losing track of time. Was it this Sunday just gone? It might have been, where there was the most enormous opening of the heavens. They may have been round here.
No.
It was... I think...
No, we didn't have anything.
Oh, we
I
did.
don't think we had anything.
Yeah, we did. It
Don't
was
think we
literally, it
did.
was literally bouncing off the road. I love it when it's like that. So it felt
Really?
like it was,
Oh, I
yeah,
don't.
yeah, absolutely amazing. And I've got this conservatory at the front of the house, still just barely. It's hanging on. It says I still want to exist. It's definitely seen better days, but it acts as a weather amplifier. So the volume of the rain on the roof is. It's quite a thing, really. It's like being in a gothic film horror story where the rain's thundering down to signify the arrival of hell or something like that, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
So all jolly good. And so just by way of to let you know what we've got in store tonight, we think we've got it in store anyway. I got a message from Eli James, who some of you will have heard before. He was last on here about a month ago. And Eli's bouncing around full of energy and all sorts of stuff, which is remarkable considering some of the surgeries he's undergone over the last 3 or 4 months, or is it 4 or 5 months? Whatever, he's doing really well. But he sent me a message just before the show to say that he's been called out on an emergency, but he is expecting to be back by 4 p.m. US Eastern time. That's 9 o'clock here tonight, our time. So about an hour in from now, just under an hour. So he might be a little bit late. He might be a little bit early. I don't really know. I had a chat with him the other day talking about such interesting words as pharmakia, which is to do with sorcery. And, of course, we will all know about that with regards to pharmacy. It's why, by the way, there's a snake or a serpent in today's image. Of course, if you're on the radio, you can't see the show image, but we tend to knock one. Well, no, we don't tend to. We do. I not get one put together every week for the show. It's the most wonderful illustration by N.C. Wyeth. And we've used some of his illustrations before for the show. I'm kind of into all this kind of stuff. And it's actually, I don't know if you've seen the image, Eric. You may well have seen it, but it's it's Charlemagne. That's supposed to be Charlemagne. I mean, not that I'm necessarily... Yeah, Charlemagne having a pop at some symbolic serpent. I mean, should we call them serpents or snakes? I always quite like the word serpent. And is there a difference? Is there a difference?
What? No, I think a snake is a serpent, isn't it? I don't know. I'm showing my ignorance here. But why are they always called Charlemagne? Why can't they be called Fred or Bert or Sid?
Well, maybe there was.
Sid, the serpent slayer, I mean,
Sid.
there was
El Cid,
Eric
wasn't there, in
Viking.
Spain? There was El Cid in Spain, but spelt C-I-D, so it has a more sort of, I don't know, Mediterranean, flamboyant, romantic look to it when you look at it spelt C-I-D. Yeah. Of course, not to be confused with the CID over here.
Strapped into his horse when he was dead, didn't they? And he came charging out, when he's a bit of a stiff, So there we go. But no, it's funny you're talking about serpents and things, because I was looking at the Rockefellers. Sorry, you know what I mean. And they started Big Pharma. And how it all began.
The Rockefeller. Are you sure about? I mean, I know you are. I'm just setting you up. Yeah, the Rockenfelders.
Yes.
Did they interfere? Nice did they interfere with the medical practices of the West in a big way? Did they do that?
I know. I'm
shocked.
Well, it's a rumor. It's terrible, isn't it?
It is.
But no, they actually paid doctors to lie, basically, and they struck people off for practicing natural medicine, and they turned natural medicine into sort of voodoo, made it look like voodoo, and of course the rest is history, because in shall we say inverted commas, our health service is now oil-based medicines, which are carcinogenic.
Yeah, well, it's really morphed, has it not, into a hell service?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I had a direct emotional experience about that yesterday. Yeah, Wednesday. So some of you may know a few months ago, we used to get a few calls in from Sussex Man, an elderly gentleman over in East Sussex, who I've known for many years. And Sussex Man, unfortunately, has been going through it a bit recently. He had a stroke towards the back end of last year, and he fell over last week, and he was in hospital again, and he's in there right now.
No.
Yeah, it's all a bit much, really. And, he's a seasoned veteran of life. He's about 86, 87. He's very bright, a very knowledgeable, very intelligent fella. But, of course, if you're physically sort of incapacitated, no one can tell that. And unfortunately, he is a bit. So he's a bit banged up again. And I went to see him, but he wasn't really in much of a fit state to talk. Well, he was making noises, but I literally couldn't understand him, and I had to tell him this. And he looked at me slightly disappointed. I said, you're having difficulty speaking, and I can't understand a word you're saying. It's difficult because it just is. I feel for the guy, and I've known him for a long time, and I've learnt so much in discussions with him, and I hope he's learnt a bit from me as well, but it's probably more the other way around. But he's a wonderful chap, and I'm wishing him all the best. So, to just send that out on the waves. Yeah. Yeah.
Has he got any family or anything, or is he on his own?
I don't know. This is part of the problem, really, for me. I mean, I'm a bit of a distance from him. I'm about 40 miles away, something like that. I don't mind hopping over because it's always rewarding, So I've been going over maybe every couple of weeks, at least once a month for many years now, to just go over and have a chat with him and hook up with other friends. So he has got a circle of contacts around him. But they're all quite elderly as well. I don't know who they are, and there doesn't seem to be a sort of an emergency plan. And but there's another good friend, Karen, who's been doing fantastic. She's sort of on top of it, but she's even further away. She's sort of up in Norfolk and Suffolk, and so it's much more difficult for her to get there. Yeah, it's just all a bit tricky. But I was informed. I mean, his local vicar knows. Right, and I don't know the name of the vicar, but this is just to give you an idea of kind of the human landscape here, that his vicar's 91, right?
Wow.
There is something slightly comic about it as well. I know there isn't really in real terms, but there is still. There's something slightly very sort of, I'm going, what? And he's looking after his wife, who's got dementia, who's a bit younger than him. So I'm going, okay, I think people here are a little bit overstressed in terms of their capacities to get things done. And of course, I think I'm probably going to be this way as well, but I'm trying to make a note not to be. It doesn't matter how old you get. You always think you're 25 when you're a bloke, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just do, don't you?
Yeah.
And Sussex Man's definitely got a bit of that going on. I mean, I know that 2 weeks ago, before he'd had this fall, he was saying, I've got to go out and do the gardening. I'm going, what are you talking about? It's not that I'm trying to make him become an invalid, but the thing is, you have to cut your cloth to suit in life. I think you do, don't you? And it's very difficult when you're a guy, because your entire persona is wrapped up with your ability to be active and to do things. I mean, I was just up a tree the other day with the old chainsaw. Got several massive branches out. Was absolutely knackered because I haven't done it for about 8 years, and quite enjoyed the thing. But then I've had a good excuse since then, because the chainsaw's just pouring oil all over my highly expensive shorts and legs. No, they're not, right? I just thought, this is no fun. I'm up here, up a tree, getting... I don't mind getting cut up with twigs. I quite like it in a way. It's sort of, you're going to have a shower after, you think, that's good. I can sleep and bleed all over the bed or something like that. But, so little things like that. I'm fully aware of myself, and I'm sure most of the gentlemen listening in here will probably recognise some truth in this too. But I was just going to say about the atmosphere in the hospital. It's... I've spent too many days in hospitals over the last few years, far too many, and I'm almost, I don't like going. I'm really unhappy about being there. It's something to do, it's not to do with the individuals, it's to do with the constraints that they behave and communicate under. There's something extremely disconcertingly artificial about the space. That's how it impacts. Although everybody's incredibly kind, but the speed with which things happen is so slow that, really a snail could probably do it better, and it's nobody's fault. I'm looking at him going, this system here is so messed up. There's no sort of sense of spontaneous dynamic decision-making by anybody, because nobody dare, because they're under so many, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's all about what you can't do. It's as opposed to sort of, what you can do.
But it's all box ticking. It's all... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in, but it's all tick boxes. You have to tick the boxes. All paperwork.
Yeah.
And I think when my parents were in hospital, the nurses were robotic, just like robots.
Yeah.
And do they still got that thing where they're not allowed to cut people's fingernails? And you get elderly people with nails that have grown about sort of a couple of inches long.
They may well do. Sussex Man's not got to that point, and hopefully won't. I mean, he's fully conscious, and he understood what I was saying, but he can't. He's very short on oxygen, so they've got, and he has respiratory challenges anyway from time to time. He's prone to getting a bit asthmatic and wheezy. I think he has been most of his life. And so, and the staff are great. They're very helpful and very thorough, but there's just this sense of, I'd been in there an hour and 15 minutes, and that was about as much. I mean, the reason was that there was nothing I could do to help him. And that's really frustrating as well. You go, there's nothing I can do. I'm just sat here like a spare part at a wedding. And I hate that, so I get a bit short-tempered when I'm like that. And I thought, this is silly. I'm just wasting everybody's time. I'm going to go back and see him hopefully in a few days' time, and he will have recovered. But it's...
I wish him...
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. He needs to make a few more. You see, I just don't know if he's given power of attorney or anybody or anything like that to anybody, and it's difficult. To compound the problem, he's had builders in his house, which has been a puzzle to me. I don't know why, but I do know why, but it just seems a little bit excessive at this time in life. That's kind of my feeling. But then, who knows, retard or something. But it looks like they've stolen his car off the drive as well. So this is turning into a bit of a drama. And I was trying to get the registration number out of him in conversation, but he couldn't communicate it to me. I gave him a pencil and a piece of paper. He's just not strong enough to even do that. So it's very frustrating because if they can get, I don't know what his reg is or anything like that. Anyway, this is all a little bit sort of personal, sort of Coronation Street-y, isn't it, in a way?
I understand, yes.
But it's just an aspect of what's probably, he's probably not the only person undergoing such sort of, really, you go, well, this is, it happens to people all the time, but the knock-on effects are extremely vexatious. They really are. So
yes.
Anyway, good luck to you, Sussex Man. I want him to get well. Yeah.
I think the old Chinese idea of hospitals was far superior, and that is they were built where where was it now? From where you get winds blowing through. They had windows and corridors where the winds blow through, and they had herb gardens. So the smell of herbs went through the hospital.
Right.
And they made sure that the patients that were well enough got out and smelt the herbs and got into the garden and got sunshine and got fresh air. And that was, when Mao was around and before him, and it goes back years. And now big farmers got into China, and then that's all going out the window. But apparently, the way they worked was they paid the doctor until they were ill, and then they stopped paying him. And so they make sure that they're well all the time. Yeah. And that's the way it works. And they treated the doctor very, very well. But there's something that might be helpful for your listeners. Now, I don't know whether you're like this, Paul, but I put shorts on and I'm eaten alive with bloody midges and Christ knows what.
Are you? You've got tasty legs. Is that what you're saying?
I've got tasty legs.
They love Von Essex legs, do they? Yum, yum, yum.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, my leg has already been to rape counselling from my neighbour's bleeding dog. I mean,
I'm glad to hear that. At least you're doing something about it.
That's right. It's shaking like a leaf here as we speak. And anyway, I went to see Miles, not about my neighbour's dog, but about to get a top up of tablets and that. And I just, as I cycled through the Lee Valley, I had to wear long trousers because I knew that my legs would just be full of gnat bites. And he said, vitamin B1. So I got some vitamin B1.
Yeah.
And I've taken it. I haven't been bitten since. So there's a little bit of a word of advice. Vitamin B1.
Is that a condition then that you get? Is that a known condition then? Lee Valley legs? Is that what it's known as?
Lee Valley legs, yes. Yes, I get Lee Valley legs.
Oh, he's got a bad case there.
There's been sightings of Bigfoot in Big Valley, so you've got to be careful. Yeah,
lots of sightings of Bigfoot in my life, actually, because I'm 12 and a half. My size feet are over 12.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I'm only 6 foot, but I've just got the most enormous hands and feet.
Like that.
It's quite useful because when it's very windy, I'm like a weeble. I just can't fall over. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
This is probably not true. I'm exaggerating a little bit, everybody. I am exaggerating a wee bit, but yeah.
Yes. But I've got the most common shoe size of the lot, 8. There's more people size 8 than any other shoe size. That's why you never bleed and get them. But I like that you're only 6 foot. I'm 5'7", and
Where is he? I can't
I
see
worked
him.
at-
Where have you gone, Eric? I can't see him. Oh, I've
I
got
worked
to
in
tell.
office
I
once
want
where
to tell you a height story.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you a story about height.
Yeah.
It just reminded me about something. Years ago, when we were first looking for a house, this is in the 90s. We were living in Wimbledon. We were going around looking at flats to buy. This would be about 98, 99, something like that. And we were looking for a place to buy. And we got this viewing to go to this pretty nice sort of townhouse. And it was within budget, and it looked great on the outside, and it was great on the inside, but that's got nothing really to do with the story. This well turned out dapper and rather overly polite, i.e. not aggressive, a very sort of well-mannered and rather timid in a way for an estate agent bloke turned up. He's a nice guy, right? But he was a bit sort of bumbly, people who are just a bit bumbly, not quite there, just a bit bumbly. And he said, he said, look, we don't have a viewing, but I've got the keys and the owner's out all day and everything and all that kind of stuff. So we can, if you're all right, we could just go in for half an hour, have a look around. He said, we've got full permission. We said, sure, yeah, that'd be great. So we go in and we're walking around in the lounge and he's just talking away. And then he turns around and he leaps back because the owner, this lady, she was very small, right? Was sat in the settee and none of us had seen her. It was funny at the time. I'm sorry, it's not much of a tale, is it? But at the time, it was my wife to be got hysterics. She had to go into the kitchen. It was that because he just came across as slightly eccentric and completely misread everything about the situation and been talking about the owner, and then he turned around and there she was. She hadn't said a word. It was very funny.
I like nice things you say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't say, she spells a P or something like that. That would have been a bit.
No, Eric, this was Wimbledon, Eric, not Essex.
That's the big difference, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm sorry. because I'm extremely posh and come from Wimbledon. Of course, I don't, everybody.
Hey,
I'm just hamming it up. But,
yeah.
Anyway,
well,
it's not much of a tale, but it just sprang into my head. I got it out while I could,
My father lived in a village in Essex called Ugly. And the locals who were very posh, they called it Ugly. But actually, it's Ugly. It's Ugly, Ugly.
Is it with a Y? Is it?
Yeah, Ugly, yeah.
Not UGLE as in the United Grand Lodge of England, which is...
Oh, no. There's no funny handshakes around there. Well, as far as I know. But, no, it's funny because his father bought a house for £100 in the 1920s. £100. It was a lot of money in those days. And he bought 2 houses because he was a greengrocer. And he made quite a bit of money because there's no, I don't think they bothered with tax in those days. And he rented the other house out. It had no toilets in it. They had to use a bucket. They had to go to the water pump in the village to get the water. It's pretty basic. And now, last time I went there, I saw the house where he lived. Oh, it's very hoity-toity. And I think they're going for almost £750,000.
£750,000.
Yeah, and because they're typical traditional Essex boarding on the outside, and very pretty village though. But name Ugly, I mean, it is. Very
I
pretty.
know. Yeah, it reminds me of that Monty Python sketch about Doug and Dinsdale Piranha when you said that amount of money. What's this? He goes, one man who also ran foul of them was Luigi Vercotti. I was running a high-class night spot for the gentry in Biggleswade with international cuisine and cooking and not a cheap clip joint for picking up tarts. That's right. I deny that completely. It's very good. They came in. They said they sold me one of their fruit machines and would I pay for it? How much did they ask? £750,000. And every time I hear that sketch, see, you just switched it on in my head. It just ran through like on an autopilot. Yeah, Luigi Vercotti, very good. Yeah. Now, something else has been happening in Essex, though, Eric, hasn't it? Hasn't there been sort of...
What's that?
Some migrant centre somewhere. Is it Essex? A big sort of gap. There's been a lot of...
Yes,
where is
Epping,
that?
In Epping in Essex. Because I used to think that Epping was when you tried to attract a waiter's attention and they ignored you. Now that's Epping, but it's a bit hoity-toity, Epping.
Is it?
And they've opened up, and they've the migrant centre there, and their locals are not too happy about it.
No.
But I'm about 10 miles from Epping, probably less than that. Not that far, because I'm actually on the Hertfordshire of the Essex border. I'm about 2 miles from the Essex border.
Right, so you're almost a trans county guy. You could go anywhere, hither, thither, and yon. Is it known colloquially as effing Epping? It probably will be at this rate if it keeps on degenerating.
Well, it's effing Forest, yeah. Effing Forest.
Yeah.
But no, actually, if you want to go to the drugs capital of England, you just go up the road to Harlow, which I think I said before is their council is just marginally left of Mao Zedong, and they've got a Zelensky Avenue, and a Mandela Avenue.
Great. We'd all feel at home there then, wouldn't we? That's
good. Very,
very,
very much at home. And I think it has one of the highest highest amount of drug addicts there are in England. But with Harlow, when you leave there, you take part of it with you. And it's normally on the sole of your shoe.
Nice. Something to remind you of home, eh? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it
lovely,
smells like Harlow round here every day. Have you changed your shoes, dear? No. Well, that's why it smells like Harlow. Gotcha.
But you see, sort of like it's the land of the zombies. You often see people walk along talking to themselves, drugged out of their minds. Yeah. It's a little bit run down.
I mean, that thing that's taking place in Epping, of course, is it microcosm? It's just another. I mean, there are many more incidents like this. But I saw some interviews with or a couple of sort of street journalists speaking to camera, which were pretty good. And what they were saying was, it's hit a point now where mothers don't want their daughters going out walking in the streets because they're getting pestered. And the thing is, okay, so everybody here will have heard of an incident like that in the past X number of years, but the frequency of these reports is now going up. Does that mean they're happening more often? I suspect they must be, just purely statistically, because of the volume of people coming into the country being brought in by our traitorous government, which is not ours, therefore, it's somebody else's, but by this group of people masquerading as our government who are basically waging war on us through all these so-called civil procedures of bringing people in. And it's a major concern. The other thing worth mentioning, and you should be very proud of this as well, Eric, I would be if I was an Essex person. Essex is known as a hotbed of vicious dissent, historically.
Really?
Which is yes, it is. It's a very good thing. Well, fobbing is in Essex, isn't it? Is that right?
Yes, or flobbing as we call it.
Okay, so, and of course, fobbing, I've mentioned this before, but the town of fobbing lends itself to this word of fobbing off. Yeah, if you fob someone's off, that's where it comes from. Yeah. And to fob them off is basically to delay something. Specifically, it dates back to the early 1380s, i.e. 1380 and just beyond, which was to fob off the king's tax collectors, right? And Epping, along with somewhere in Kent, I can't remember exactly, Kent, where Wat Tyler was basically the main ignition points. There was a couple up in Yorkshire and Lancashire as well, which caused the Peasants' Revolt to kick off big stylely in 1381, which I know I've banged on about it here on and off ever since we started this show, and prior to even doing this show. I still view it as a major event in English history, which of course is not taught, and it's major because it's relevant to now. All history, ultimately, when you look at it at certain times, can be highly relevant to your current situation. And although I've said these details before, they're worth repeating. One of the reasons why they kicked off is that they came out with a poll tax, which of course was reviled, just as it was under Margaret Thatcher when there were the poll tax revolts in the 80s. They said anybody that's an adult is liable. Their head goes into the head count, and a poll tax will be charged upon them for existing. Right. The phrase is, what's the phrase from The Red Dagger by I've forgotten his name. It's a wonderful poem which we'll get up at some point and stick it somewhere. It says that people were taxed to death merely for being alive, and it's It's not much of a jump, is it, from then to now? Absolutely not. Of course, it's couched in all the modern mainstream media glitz and hullabaloo that makes people, oh, it's all right, we've got to do this. But it's not all right. It's absolutely completely out of order. And one of the ways that they checked on the age, seriously, is that they had pubic hair inspectors.
Cool.
So so they would check beds. If they found a pubic hair, a watch spring, as everybody knows. Sorry, we're already plunging into but it's true.
Or dental floss.
Yeah.
Organic dental floss. Sorry.
Gosh, that's worrying. And then it would be charged. Not only that, they began to look up the skirts of young girls to check.
Yes,
so the mothers had enough. And when they sent out some tax collectors, they refused to pay the tax. So the king sent some tax collectors out about their impudent lack of concern. I think that's the line in the poem. It's a lovely phrase. Their impudent lack of concern over paying the king's taxes. They're not too keen on this. And what the tax collectors met with was death. They were shot with bows and arrows, and some of them died. They were just killed. And you just bear it in mind, if you think human nature's changed all that much in 700 years, you're very much mistaken. Because what's happening in Epping now is the rumblings of this fire. You can feel it. I know we've touched upon it here regularly, and we will continue to do so because it's our duty as Englishmen to keep addressing this issue, to hopefully, if we can talk about it fully enough, to avoid the kind of hell that I'm reasonably sure our enemies are seeking to bring about. I don't know what you think about that, Eric, but I think that they're absolutely initiating a conflict by whispering in the ears of all sides and allowing the sort of volume of rhetoric to build up. I think they want that. That's kind of my take on it. I agree with you.
Problem, reaction, with solution. So they create the problem, get a reaction, and offer the solution, and that is more draconian rules.
Yes.
So we have to have ID. We have to show our ID every time we go shopping, every time you fill out with petrol. And we'll just be they will know exactly where you are, what you're doing, every breath you take. That's what they want.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling that I don't know quite how it's going to work out, but that's not what's going to end. It's not going to end up like that. I
agree with it. Yes.
I think even if I'm wrong, I'm carrying that flame in my heart and mind, and I think it's good because it bolsters one's courage internally, and you need it all the time, I think, and you need to be with others that are going to assist you in that process. It's a very good thing, but certainly the Epping thing is important, and of course you look at then the sort of management knock-on effect from it. So what happens? What they're pressing for, they're saying we don't want these migrants housed here. Let's suppose the people of Epping are successful in rebuffing the presence of these migrants that are being transported into their area. What would the government be faced with doing? What's its choices? Well, maybe it then seeks to move them to another area, but once it has given in, this is all to do with this. It's not stubbornness. It's all to do with the perceived lack of authority. Of course, we perceive them to be maniacs and not deserving of holding any authority at all, which is part of it. Then there's going to be a knock-on effect because every other area in England is going to look at this and go, well, if you do that for Epping, you're going to do it for us. And I was thinking as well, that there's been, not that I know exactly where they are, but I should imagine many of the listeners will, certainly on Rumble and YouTube, and a shout out to all of you. I'm looking at the chat as we're going through. There have been these super prisons built. You remember Boris Johnson building one? Okay.
Was it in Northampton?
It may well have been. So why can't they use those then?
Precisely.
As basically remigration holding centres until they're all remigrated. As in all of them. And if that's why I tune into Mike Graham and these other places. It's not that I'm a mainstream media addict. I know exactly what I'm doing, and many of you will do so. I'm trying to get a feel for the pulse of what's going on. It's like reading where the emotional stress point is, and it keeps going up. You can hear it. You can hear it in people's voices that send in these voice messages and other things. It's going up. People are going to hit a point where when you call them a racist, they're going to start laughing at you. This is fantastic, but also scary. But It just is. It's only going in one direction, which makes me suspect that it's being enabled to go in this direction. This is the pressure cooker that naturally exists, and it could be resolved peaceably. But I suspect the government has no intention, or should I say, those that control our government have got no intention of, or reduce the chances of that as much as they possibly can. They don't want it to be resolved peaceably and with good governance.
No, they don't. You see, the thing is that what we've had is that they've been hyping up a persecution complex. Mm-hmm. This is what they're doing with all this. You're a racist, you're this, you're that. Because a person with a persecution complex will turn against someone and reinvent what they say to fuel their persecution, their feelings of persecution.
Yeah.
And when you look at these, you think, what are these fit young men or young men of military age being allowed into this country for? Now, it's not for the military, because it takes a long time to train a soldier, a hell of a long time. My hunch is for security to come and kick your door down. They will be employed by private security officers, because I went to, there's a level crossing at Cheshunt, where you get into the Lee Valley, you see. And it's quite a busy line. It's a train line from Liverpool Street right up to Cambridge and beyond. So it's quite busy. And I was sitting in the traffic, sort of waiting at the level crossing, and they've got 2 security officers from overseas, they could hardly speak English, standing around there. Now, this is semi-rural. What the hell are they doing there? And they were there for ages. They're gone now. But they were there for weeks.
Yep.
Why? What was their purpose? And they were just, it's a cushy old number. It's lovely to get paid to do that. Just sort of standing around talking to each other. And I really don't know. So there's something weird going on.
Well, it's got parallels, doesn't it? Although it's not exactly, actually it is the same in a way. It's got parallels with what they did in Bolshevik Russia when they unleashed all the convicts back into so-called civil society that they were about to turn into the most uncivilized hellhole ever known. They released the convicts. And so, these are maniacs from your own race and elsewhere. It doesn't really matter where they're from. These are unreliable types. There's a better word than unreliable, but you get my drift.
That's what Starmer's did, isn't it? Starmer's done that.
Yes. That's what I'm pointing. Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, you see, if you actually take people that are alien to your race and culture and put them in a military police type role, they literally cannot care about you in the way that your fellow kith and kin would. There won't be any restraint. In other words, they can tell that they've been employed to actually not exercise restraint.
That's right.
That's what I would say. Historically, this seems to be the case. It's why certain emperors used to have a guard that was made up of people from a totally different tribe and pay them plenty of money. Because
so it's a guard in the Vatican.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So there's a natural racial adversarialness in your physical posture and your attitude to the other. There's a lot of the othering going on, and that's what they're building in.
That's right. Well, look at the black and tans.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's obviously there's no lack of facilities, Eric, to contain this situation. There's no lack of sensible ideas. There is a complete absence of willpower in this direction by design. Obviously, that's all we can say. No one is communicating as politicians should. Not that I'm shocked or disappointed. This is what we all expect if you've been studying this thing. But none of them are communicating in a way that says, we are here to assert the authority of the English people whom we represent. We work for them. Sorry, I just thought I'd try it out. It sounds quaint and completely insane because we know that they don't do that at all. But that's what it says on the tin, at least. You get them under the Trades Description Act. They don't actually fulfil the purpose of themselves as a tool. They don't do any of that. And that's kind of where we're headed, it would seem. But yeah, I thought the super prisons were. You think, well, obviously that's what you should use them for. But no one's mentioning this in the media. No. And again, there's this lack of proposal of solutions. There's a lot of description of the drama. We've just done it too. You have to do that. But there needs to be a bit at the end that says, okay, so the way that we resolve it is this. And we had Dominic
Correct.
Cummings the other week said, the way that you resolve the migrant crisis, you send certain armed boats out, you blow a few out of the water. Yes, it will result in the senseless death of people that shouldn't have come here. But once it's happened once or twice, it won't happen anymore. And this is true. So, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying, are we supposed to keep on enabling pack animals coming into our country who know that they're being brought in for this reason, many of whom are going to abuse our fair young girls and women, and they're going to do that. They're probably some of that is happening right now as we're doing this show. That's how sick and recklessly awful everything has become. So,
well, near where I live, there's a hotel, and it's quite a posh one. And now it looks they got concrete barriers there to stop cars driving in there. They got asylum seekers or bogus ones there, and apparently now I cannot confirm this. Okay, what I'm about to say, but 2 girls have been raped locally,
right,
and it's been deliberately hushed up in the press. Now, ask me for the evidence. I ain't got it, but I got that information from someone that's got their ear close to the ground and knows a lot of local councillors and that type of thing. So I haven't got the evidence. It might not be true. I do not know. But that's the story I got. The 2 girls have been raped and they've got like a D notice on the press. They're not to mention it. So, I mean, what do you expect when you've got a load of horny blokes that come over, that come from countries where probably women wear the burqa, you don't know, and they're seeing scantily clad ladies walking around in this country. You know, what do you expect?
Well, they're getting exactly what they've planned for. This is a plan, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's obviously a plan. I know we're going over the same old coals, but you have to. They're burning brighter, of course, with each passing week that we do this show, regrettably. But I mean, it's not going to change until we get proper authority in. And people, I was thinking that everybody, all the sort of old insults, they're beginning to fall apart as they should, like wet tissue paper. Nazi, yeah. And your point is what exactly? What's your point? There's no point to that. Many of the effects that used to be achieved by hurling names, name calling, because people would cower, oh, don't call me that, they're beginning to fall apart, which is, as I said, a good thing, but also it means that people are hitting that point where they don't care about that anymore. And they're right to not care about it because it's actually the fundamentals. It's a physical problem. I've been a smart ass here and said it's locationism. I'm a locationist. It's got nothing to do with the quality or caliber of anybody. It's simply that we know in the great mass where most people are supposed to be living. And there's a huge number, millions of people living in England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland and Ireland that need to be living in their home for their own happiness. And like we mentioned here before, the welfare payments to these people are astronomical. Why is that money simply not used to pay them to stay at home for a bit? We could help them. You want to do something, projects? You go, well, they haven't got any running water. Fine. Okay, well, we'll set up engineering schools and everything. Let's do something constructive. But there's no communication in the political sphere that's constructive. It's all about what's the next drama that we can scare the pants off the British public with. And they need a factory that produces them. And, of course, they've got one.
But what they're doing, they are racists. They are because what's happening with this mass immigration is it's not only destroying our own race, but it's destroying other people's races, the people that are coming here. Yep. Families are being torn apart. And I mean, I've said this before. I spoke to a gent when my father was in hospital. He came over on the Windrush. He was West Indian. And he said it was a con. And he felt terrible that he was told that there are hardly any men in Great Britain because of the war, and they're going to go over there, get a trade, and learn a trade, and it's land of milk and honey. He said, we got there. They don't tell you that you have to pay for heating because it's freezing cold in the winter. Plus, you're competing with jobs, poor sods that went through the war. And he said that he felt very, very bad that there was unemployed English people, and he'd been brought over here, and the money looked good, but they didn't take into account the extra expenses here, because in the West Indies, food was relatively cheap because it's a tropical sort of area. And of course, you don't have to worry about heating in the winter because their winter is very, very mild. Or the winter here can be quite severe. And he couldn't afford to get back. So it's a one-way ticket. And I was really interested talking to him. And he had the other, he had a very similar view. He said, I could have probably done better by staying at home and not coming here.
Yeah.
So he said it was a con. But he said the people that said it's a con, you don't hear them. Oh, no. You don't hear his voice. Sadly, the poor soul died a couple of days, I think a week or two later. But I really enjoyed talking to him because he spoke as it was. And you never hear that opinion from West Indians. You never, very rarely hear it. So, and it really
of course, they're not. Anything that's going to run counter, it doesn't matter who says it, anything that runs counter to the narrative that they're reinforcing, which is, of course, their fiction, which they're seeking to impose as reality, will be denied a voice. But not like in the past. We're not denied one as much as we used to be. We didn't have one at all, really. I mean, we've got places like this and elsewhere, which we're seeking to build up, of course, and we just keep pounding away. I mean, this is not the only sort of online communication that reflects these sorts of things. There's many taking place, some much bigger than this. Buggers. No, I don't mind.
Well, yes.
But it's just it just you never know what pockets you're going to connect up with and what you get, and it's also a matter of knowing quite what tone to strike. I think with all of these things, I mean, we could be much more strident and say things much more vitriolic and more incendiary. I have done in the past, but I don't know whether it's really effective or not. It's tricky, and I think also using combative language may well be counterproductive, which of course may mark me out as a fairy here who's not up for it. But I'm just wondering where the actual point of conflict is, and it's really in thinking. It seems to me it's certainly a key part of it, and as you see people's attitudes change through their language, and I'm just going back to these voicemail messages that you hear on Mike Graham and elsewhere, you hear the shift in thinking and focus, and it's as I said, it's inevitable, it's inexorable, and it keeps on increasing. There's a guy called, I think it's Betts, an American guy who's over here, though. I here for a long time, so I think he's Canadian. He studies civil wars, and there was an interview with him just a few days ago. I mean, I've seen several before. I don't know if you've caught them. And he's just talking about how civil wars occur, or what are termed civil wars. And they're to do basically, obviously, you get different sects building up about the direction of how things should go. Generally, I would say in nearly all cases, it's the imposition of an alien ideology into an existing culture that kicks it off. This is always the case. Or some alien interest has a great deal of interest in causing internal strife and conflict within a nation. And, of course, this doesn't apply, I think, just to England. It's all across continental Europe and North America and Australia and New Zealand. Wherever our people are is the absolute focal point, really, for all of this ridiculous, and that's the wrong word, by the way, but this menacing sort of invasion and destruction of what we love. That said, I want to talk about... I want to mention something to you here. So shout out to Lisa. Lisa, thank you very much for getting in touch with me over Telegram a few days ago. Lisa contacted me and introduced me to a person called Hannah Badder. And I had a fantastic conversation with Hannah yesterday. You may find some videos of her on YouTube, although she was telling me that she's tried to get most of them taken down. Not because they are... bad or anything, but I think she's focusing on certain things at the moment. And it was a wonderful conversation, and fingers crossed she'll be on here as a guest either next week or more likely the week following, because we've just got to plan a few things out, I think. Yeah, so she's heading up a thing called the English Counties Assembly, and those of you that have tuned in here for a little while will know that I've mentioned this sort of thing anyway, about lots of local things taking place, and it's very much in line with this. And we had it was a really wonderful conversation. First of all, she's a fully qualified proper lawyer from the system, as it were. This is I mean, I probably described it slightly wrong, but she's accredited, she's got degree, all this kind of stuff. She's studied it long and hard, so she's a very skilled articulate lady with regards to these aspects of law. And we were talking about, not so, although it is common law, but about, as it were, community law. The actual law of the no, that's the wrong word as well. Customary, i.e. the customs that we have, which is basically what common law is. Common law is based on the customs of the people, which is how you come up with your value system. And so they've got the English Counties Assembly. There's a website, and I'll try and find the URL at some point during this show. But I'll be publicising it anyway in the run up to when we get Hannah on to do a show. There are 39 counties. 39, isn't that nice? 39 of them. Yeah, 39 counties involved. They've all got a flag. They've all got a flag, and we were talking about flags. We talked about many things. I mean, it was an hour and a half. I thought I'd be just talking to her for 10 minutes to try and say, do you want to come on the show? But it actually developed into something much more than that. And so she said, I want to sell flags. But it's not just about selling flags. It's about what flags do to people. They're very powerful, these things. I've often said, not that I would be able to do this, but if you wanted to completely shatter people's mental view, if I was able to say put 100 swastikas up and down the beach here on flagpoles or anywhere, right, you can imagine what the meltdown would be like. You go, it's only a flag. Yeah. But what is a flag? What it does is like shorthand. It just switches every circuit on, doesn't it? It's like click, bang. Yeah. It's shorthand for all of this kind of stuff. And so there are flags for all of these particular counties, and we've got someone come into the call studio. Gaz is here. Gaz, I'm just going to bring him in. Look at me, I'm actually paying attention. Here we go.
Hello.
Oh, Gaz, are you there? Oh, he's left the meeting. He came in and he jumped off just as I was about to bring him in. That's unbelievable. We must have scared you off, Gaz.
No, don't be sure. Hang on. Let's get some cucumber sandwiches. Come on, guys. Come on, boy. Come on. You can do it. Yeah.
Don't feel bad. Just because Eric's teasing you in your absence, don't feel bad about coming back on if you want to.
I'm sorry. I've had to open the window, but I'm sure that people didn't hear my fart joke, so you're all right there. So no fart jokes. I'll be very polite,
Anyway, okay. Well, if he comes back on, we'll bring him in. I'm quite happy to bring people in as they come on. So we were talking about flags. We were talking about the law. We're talking about actual courts and what she's up to. I've got to reserve judgment, but the first sort of encounter in the form of this conversation was tremendous. Really extremely promising, I thought. And it's to do with, so you've heard these words sovereignty. It's just a word really at the moment, isn't it? That we're a sovereign people. And we'll have also heard the idea that basically the government is a service organisation that's supposed to provide service to us. But of course it's not. It's like the butler has overthrown the lord of the manor. That's really the situation that we're in.
Yes.
We've entrusted these people to look after certain aspects of the running of the household, which need to be run so that everybody can have a productive and effective life and make best use of their time. And they've abused that trust, and they've created systems and all sorts of other arenas in which the lord of the manor doesn't even have a voice now, can't even speak to them. Anyway, Hannah is involved in developing a whole series of approaches, structures, courts, actual courts. She's convened courts that all run on trial by jury. One of the things that was really encouraging that she said, because she'll act as the judge or the convener of the court, and they'll appoint jurors. And she said it's amazing, one of the most rewarding things, and she'll put it in her own terms when we hopefully have her on here in a few weeks' time. She's saying when you actually appoint people onto a jury and you see how, she said, people change. It's as if the best of them, I'm paraphrasing what she said, comes on display. They take the role very seriously and begin to analyse exactly what it is, because they're about to make a judgment that's got real power in it. And this is this sense that we're missing. We're just treated like a chattering class, okay? But this approach strikes me as being one that could yield up possibly all the bounty, or certainly an absolute major intrinsic part of it. So, I mean, one of the things that's I know we did a thing in passing sort of on Magna Carta and the power of juries, but the key power of a jury is that it can throw a law into the bin if it says it's an idiot law, which means that literally when the jury is sitting, it is the highest law power in the land. There's nothing higher. And that's available to every Englishman and Englishwoman that gets selected for jury service. So what they're seeking to do, the county assemblies, they need a group. They don't have them in all counties so far. I think there's one in Yorkshire. I think there's one in Essex and elsewhere. I don't know if there's one down here in Sussex at the moment. I'm about to slowly get roped in whatever capacity. Right now my instincts are that I very much want to help, but we'll see. I have to reserve full judgment, just as anybody would. But certainly... the idea is that you get 15 individuals in each county and they form the basis of the assembly. And then the idea is to get flags going everywhere. And one of the things that Hannah said, just like I was mentioning, she said, imagine what it would be like if across England, every county, you started to getting hundreds, if not thousands of houses flying their county flag. Just picture that. You go, well, that's no big deal. It is a big deal. It's huge because it's a reassertion of our connection with our culture, who we are as a people, where we come from, all of the traditions that we want back, which we haven't lost. They're just being overshadowed, overwhelmed by this sort of tidal wave of puke that comes courtesy of the mainstream media and their controllers. So I think, you see, also that as an idea, you think about the layman in the pub, and I'm not saying that in a patronising way. I think the layman in the pub is the unit to work on. I class myself as one. And we know that in certain pubs you get some very bright individuals. So this is, I know there's a lot of people who are just drinking themselves into oblivion, or they would do if there were any pubs left. But you could get everybody interested in getting a flag. And it recreates county identity. And counties are, full of parishes. And all of this... is to get back into the conventions, I think, and using the words and the forms that we've always used, because that's the way we are. We don't want, well, like that, we don't want him because he doesn't fit into a world system. Well, we're not interested in the world system. Sorry. What we've got's way better than your world. We're not interested. Bye.
My granddad had a pet saying. He said, there's always a bit of good comes out of bad. He said, whatever it is, there's always a bit of good comes out of bad. And what I've noticed, remember there was troubles in Northern Ireland between the Catholics and the Protestants. Apparently it no longer exists because they've got a common enemy, this mass intake of asylum seekers. Yeah. And have you noticed that now we're a lot closer with Europeans, fellow Europeans, whereas England or Britain was always sort of the island off of Europe, but now you know what it's like in Germany. Look at Sweden and places like that, where there's this mass immigration that's going on, that's absolutely destroying the culture. Yeah, we feel, and that is something I think the powers that be didn't expect. We're getting much closer to these people. They're not foreign. When I was a kid, once you went over to France, you was in foreign land. Not any longer. You're in Europe. You're not in foreign land until you go into a different, go to the Far East or somewhere like that, or the Near East. Yeah. So that's one good thing. And talking about flags, now, you look at the southern flag of America, the Confederate flag. Now, that is a sign of rebellion. People put that on their vehicles as a rebellion thing in this country. Might be the same in America. But the thing is, it's a misunderstood flag, because Paul or Patrick might be able to put us right on this, or be right rather. I believe it's the battle flag. It's not the flag of the South. It's the battle flag. It's the one they took into battle. It wasn't the actual flag of the South. Anybody know any different of that? But that's what I heard. That it's not actually the Southern flag.
You may be right. We're coming to the end of the first hour anyway, and we may well be joined by Eli shortly. He's not turned up as yet, but it's not as if we're going to be short of things to say. So hopefully he'll be able to make it and join us. I don't have any songs lined up. You got any requests? Maybe I should give it a minute in the
Al
chat.
Bowley?
You like Al Bowley, don't you? We like to.
I like Al Bowley. Yeah,
he does.
The
Look, we got to
chappies.
Yeah, we got to keep Eric happy. But, what would you like? I've got his entire oeuvre.
Have you really? No wonder his eyes were watering.
Actually, I think it's pronounced oeuvre. Euvre, but I've always pronounced it ouvre because I'm from the north and it's the wrong way to pronounce it, and I kind of revel in the idea of mangling the words up. But I think he's an oeuvre. Yes, his entire output. There's the very thought of you. That's not me saying that to you, Eric, please. I'm not making romantic entreaties to you at all. Heartaches. Okay. You're as pretty as a picture.
Oh.
Steady. Moonstruck.
Thank you so much.
I love you truly, Eric.
You are the one. Nice one.
The show's getting out.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's your surname, darling?
It's all forgotten now. I can't pick one. Have you got a song that you would like to hear played by Al Bowley?
That's one of my favourites.
You Are the One.
You Are the One is the one he made. Yes, the one that was most fame. He made fame on, I believe.
Really? Oh gosh! Of course, I can't find that now. Oh, hang on. No, the very thought of you, heartache. Oh, look, I'm going to put.
The thought of you is very nice.
The very thought of you, Eric. This is for Eric.
Okay.
This is
lovely. Okay.
This is me being very sweet towards Eric.
I'm feeling a bit queer tonight.
The show's got very much out of hand. Anyway, look, we're going to play you a very modern song from the 1930s. This is Al Bowley. And because we don't want to be current and modern, we're going to be old-fashioned for a little while. And we'll be back with this. We'll be back after the break, I think. Yeah, we will.
Attention all listeners. Are you seeking uninterrupted access to WBN 324 Talk Radio despite incoming censorship hurdles? Well, it's a breeze. Just grab and download Opera Browser, then type in WBN324.zil. And stay tuned for unfiltered discussions around the clock. That's WBN324.zil.
The views, opinions, and content of the show hosts and their guests appearing on the World Broadcasting Network are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of its owners, partners, and other hosts or this network. Thank you for listening to WBN 324 Talk Radio.
And welcome back to Hour 2. Just gone 6 minutes past 9 of a Thursday evening. That must mean it's 6 minutes past 4 US Eastern Time. So welcome back. You listen to Paul English Live here on WBN 324 and on other assorted platforms. Shout out, of course, to everybody on Rumble and YouTube and the chats and stuff like that. And that was a sweet little song, Eric. I'm glad we did something to
Yes.
be nice and charming. Yes.
And you notice they go a hell of a long time before they start singing. I mean, it went on for a couple of minutes with the introduction, and he started singing. I think he had to go to the loo or something. I mean,
I was getting so
Isn't that
relaxed. I
amazing?
actually forgot we were doing a show. I just thought, yeah. I mean, I was picturing you there in the library at Falcombe Hall in front of a roaring fire, of course, with your silk dressing gown on and your cigarette holder, and just gazing off into the mid-distance across the heath, you know, and everything like that, and thinking long romantic thoughts about your lost love and everything like that. I'm sure it must have been just like that for you.
Sort of.
I'll set them up, you knock them down. All right?
Yeah. But was that amazing? Can you imagine an introduction to a tune today as long as that? It's incredible. What do you think? Is he going to start singing soon? He's going on and on. Yeah, he comes in a little bit later.
Yes. I would imagine Aunt Sally probably, if she's not here, she's probably very glad that she's not. She sort of detests things like that, doesn't she?
Yes.
Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. I've never played so much jazz. Actually, I don't class that as jazz. What would you call it? I mean, I guess it is because it's of the era, but I don't really think it's crooning, and it's more like a sort of European type ballad with a bit of swing in it or something. But it's very tasteful, and it does make one want to put on one's dinner jacket and you know, call up Clive and Natasha and say, would you care to come round for a round of bridge and things like this, you know, which I'm doing all the time. No doubt you do the same thing on those lonely evenings in the Windsor at Falcombe Hall when the wind's blowing around your nether regions and all that kind of stuff. It's got to be done.
But did you notice that you didn't hear him taking a breath when he was singing? He actually had perfect voice control. And you listen to singers today, they sound like asthmatics, or between each thing they sing. I mean, one of the Spice Girls, was it Halliwell? I can't remember her name. When she sung a tune, she sounded like an asthmatic. I
guess it's a different focus, isn't it? It's a different intent in many ways. I mean, I don't know. We talk about music a lot here. I think you can't help but talk about it. It's because it has such an emotional impact on your life, and of course, we've all got it as backing tracks. You know, you probably hear a tune. There was probably some tune that struck your lug holes when you were 16, and if you hear it again, you almost like go back to that moment. You know, audio memory is a very, very strong thing. So things are just, but you grow up with whatever your ears are assailed with. But I am, you know, always sort of, that kind of just puts you in tune with a more civilized way of dealing with things, and it's actually very attractive because it appears to be calmer, more thoughtful, and you assume you're going to get slightly more elegant conversation. And of course, this sounds awfully snotty, particularly for a working class lad from Yorkshire. I should cocoa, but I do find it appealing because it puts you at ease somehow, and we should all go to the ball every now and again, you see, Eric, and spend our time down at the Ritz and stuff like this. It's I've read too many Jeeves and Worcester, but there's something appealing about it. You know?
Yeah, but when the generation that was listening to that, they had been through one of the biggest genocides ever, which was the First World War.
Well, maybe that explains why the music was that way, Eric. Don't you think? Maybe that was. I think it was the complete counterpoint to the utter hell that they'd been through. They just went, can we just all be quiet for a bit, and can I just sit in the garden and convalesce and look at the flowers? And can everybody just calm down a bit, and can we be kindly to one another? And maybe that is the counterpoint to it in these little waves that run through civilization, you know. So,
and there's a massive shortage of men as well, because it wiped out whole generations of men.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you had women that never married, because they couldn't find a bloke.
Indeed.
So yes, and they're just we were outnumbered by women until about 10 years ago. Now it's about equal. But seriously, in the 1920s and 30s, it was difficult for unmarried women to find a partner because there were so few men. So
I think it's not as if, as a bloke, maybe as all blokes don't really feel qualified to talk about relationships, that kind of thing. It's not very manly, is it, to talk about it? But I think it's not, is it? You see, I've got to go down pit, love, and where's my beer and all that, and give us a kiss, darling, and all this. It's kind of, we're more brusque about it. We kind of turn it into a joke. Not that I think women are necessarily overly sensitive about it. I think that they're just much more naturally adapted to certain aspects of the courting ritual, this, that, and the other. And because I'm not qualified about it, we really shouldn't stray onto that reservation without me doing some prep work. Although I caught an absolute wonderful video today. It lasted about 11 minutes. It was an Australian woman from about 12 years ago, and she was just talking about sexual relations between men and women. And there was it was funny, but it was also brilliantly accurate in terms of its assessment about how each side misinterprets what the other one's intent is, and the sort of solutions to these problems. And it's not simply Viagra, everybody. It never was. It never was. In fact, it's an insult to blokes as well, because, I'm very sensitive and read poetry and go around, and ponder things and stroke my chin, Eric, as you well know. But it is. So it's very... I guess we have the impression that relationships are more dysfunctional than they've ever been, or have been sort of... They put more back onto the plantation or into the jungle. It's all a little bit too basic and turned into certain other things. But... enough of this gay banter. I see that we are joined in the studio by Patrick in Wisconsin. Patrick, good afternoon to you. How are you doing in Wisconsin? How's Wisconsin today, and how are you? Well, he's very quiet, actually.
Patrick?
No, he's very quiet. He doesn't want to say anything. Yeah, I thought I did quite a good intro there. What do you think? That was quite good, wasn't it?
I think that was an excellent intro. I mean, maybe it's the same problem as we had with that other fella earlier. Perhaps
no, he's in a different thing. By the way, if you do want to call in, I know I say this every week like some desperate agony aunt or something. I'll put the numbers up on the... I'm putting the numbers up on the old scoreboard right now. So there we go. Right. So in a few seconds you'll see it. But if you want to call in, you can call in by phone or come into the studio. On Tinternet, there's some phone numbers, and there's also a way. Tinternet's best way. If you're on a browser, come in on that paulenglishlive.com/call. I'm looking at it, and as long as your microphone's working, you can say a thing or two, and you can knock the conversation completely off beam. I don't really mind. Imagine that we're actually down at the Fockham Hall Arms tonight. That's really what it is. We're just in the pub having a chat about things, and we're coming back to the... Hang on, what's that? Is that some loud rumbling noise from Wisconsin? What's going on?
Patrick. Cooey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, Patrick, you're here.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, sorry about that. I was just away cleaning up after a dog. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Oh, right. It's not the same dog that Eric was talking about that carries the... What was that place, Eric? Where you carry
what dog is that?
This is the dog that leaves a mess everywhere and that you stand in the mess. Eric was talking about it a little bit earlier.
Oh, yes, Harlow, yes.
It's not it's not a dog from Harlow, is it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's just our dog. He got into... I'm dog watching my sister's dog, and she brought a bag of treats, and... I left him alone with the bag of treats, and he decided he would eat all the treats, or most of them, and I'm cleaning up after him. So,
oh, nice!
I did. I'll put it that way. I came home and...
Well, I'm going to have to... I'm going to take that audio clip from you.
Stuff.
I'm going to take what you've just said, put it into an audio clip, and play it back at one of my sons, who's continually saying, Dad, I really do think we need to get a Labrador. And of course,
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, really?
Well, if
and then,
you want to clean up after them, then go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out too well. Today, strangely, some company had sent some flyer through the letterbox, which should have a massive picture of a Labrador on it. It's almost as if the whole universe is ganging up. I go, what the hell's going on? It's just all dogs everywhere. So anyway, they seem quite keen, but I'm a intransigent, miserable cuss about these sorts of things, and I'm not the right guy to. I didn't grow up with dogs, and it's highly unlikely to happen. Let's put it that way.
But remember the old Chinese saying, a dog is not just for Christmas. We care. Some can be left over for sandwiches in the new year.
Yes.
So there we go.
Yeah. That reminds me of a coworker. She brought her little toy terrier or whatever it was to a Chinese market, or one of these Hmong markets we have around here. And she got asked by one of them, "Oh, the nice dog. How much he weigh?" It's like, okay, why are you asking him how much he weighs?
Yes. What's his weight got to do with it? Oh, we need to know how many sort of dog burgers we can make. It's worrying, isn't it? Isn't it worrying? And me there, doing the cliche, the stereotype. Can't help it. I think I mentioned before that people say when they go from Hong Kong, actually not that I've ever been to Hong Kong, but if you were to travel from Hong Kong and get on mainland China, the thing that really strikes you upon arriving there is how quiet it is. And it's quiet because they've eaten all the other animals. You don't hear dogs barking or anything. Of course, it could be an old wives' tale. Not that I imagine there are too many old wives around there, but you never know, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I did have a little thing to move the conversation onto another little discussion point. Have you been made aware over the past week of the arrival on the artificial intelligence front of Grok 4 by Elon Musk? Any awareness, chaps, of that? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, and the Department of Justice being a part of it. I heard some chatter on No Agenda just an hour earlier.
Oh,
about
right.
That, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a bad thing, right? The Department of Justice. What does that mean that they're on it? That's a bit strange.
Yeah.
I got a little clip here. This is 2 minutes and 37 seconds. It's not specifically about Grok 4, but I do want to talk about Grok 4 after this. This is a little thing that popped up today while I was just doing a little bit of research. That's called clicking a few buttons and seeing what comes up. That's what research is these days. It's titled, Elon Musk unveils Grok 4 update after chatbot made anti-Semitic remarks. There seems to be a tendency of them going. Anyway, listen to this. It's 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Hopefully it'll play without a bloody advert playing on YouTube.
There's a new chatbot in town just a few months after the release of Grok 3. Elon Musk's XAI is now rolling out Grok 4. Musk claims the AI assistant can reason at what he calls superhuman levels and is, quote, smarter than almost all graduate students. I don't know why they're getting the focus there, but the unveiling comes one day after the previous model, Grok 3, made a series of anti-Semitic posts praising Hitler. For more on this, we want to bring in New York Times technology reporter Mike Isaac. Mike, these anti-Semitic posts in particular got a lot of attention. What can you tell us about the changes made to the chatbot in its aftermath?
So one of the big problems that Musk has had with his chatbots in general is, unlike companies like OpenAI or Anthropic or Meta, he's essentially decided to put fewer guardrails on how Grok operates. And so with this new update in the latest model, he's trying to make it more what he calls like memey and internet literate. And I think as a result of that, there's a lot of really gnarly stuff on the internet that it sucks up and spits out. So obviously we saw this awful anti-Semitic content, but it's also been very racist. It opposes minority groups in some ways. And part of the changes that Elon Musk talked about was it's agreeing with people too much and kind of running with their own opinions, the opinions that people are asking them. So they had to roll back some of the sort of sycophantic tendencies of the model, basically.
How difficult is it to make those kinds of changes, though? If you're still sucking up all the information that people are putting in, it's not as easy as just saying, let's put on a filter.
You're exactly right. I mean, the fascinating and really scary thing about a lot of these models is that even the smartest people in the field don't exactly know how they work. What are called hallucinations, which means like a lot of the time these models are making up things based not in reality, not in fact, and just sort of spitting them out. So a lot of this is what's called fine tuning or tweaking the algorithms and the models behind it, and it's trial and error. And I think the real difference between Grok and how other companies do it is that Elon Musk believes in experimenting in public and kind of failing in public. And unfortunately, he's failing a lot and in very embarrassing and potentially harmful ways.
The tweaks continue. Mike Isaac, thank you very much for joining us.
So if it says things that you don't like, it's making stuff up, but everything else, it's completely reliable. This is not the first time something like this has happened with this AI development path over the last few years. I think I remember somewhere on Daily Stormer years ago, 3 or 4 years back, Andrew Anglin's place, where they switched it on and they had to turn it off after 3 days because it became full-on National Socialist, did the bot. It did. Because it's the natural condition of things. If you're moving, some of the comments here anyway on the YouTube thread, this is always useful to just get a feeling for where everybody's feelings are. The first one is Grok is noticing. Truth is anti-Semitic. Next one. Why not tell us what the bot said? Would it reveal something? A Grok 4 was based. And then there's a little quote here from Einstein. I fear the day when technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. Weak people create hard times, blah, 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 blah. So it's fascinating stuff. It's really, really fascinating. They can't put a filter on it. They're basically saying, how do we get a filter on it to stop doing this stuff? Well, you're not going to be able to do that. So Grok, and I'm assuming many people know where the word comes from. It's a Robert Heinlein novel. Anybody know which one it was? Started for 10? Yeah. There's a free fucking whole pencil in for anybody that can answer. Which Robert Heinlein novel was the word Grok coined?
Starship Troopers.
Was it? Okay. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Oh, cool. Well, go and ask Grok now. Someone get on Grok and ask it. Someone get on that AI thing right now and bloody ask it. If it doesn't know, it's useless. It ought to know, shouldn't it? It means, anyway, it's a good word because we used to use it a lot in this company that I worked at in the 80s because everybody just read too much science fiction and we're all space cadets. No, it means if you grok something, it means you get it. You integrate it and comprehend it and have knowledge in such a thing. You just get it. You go, oh, I've grokked that. Like I've got it. We would say, have you got that? Yeah, I've got it. It's that understanding. That's what grok means. It means to understand. You grok a thing.
Oh,
yeah, it might well have been Starship Troopers. It might well have been. I don't know. Yeah, you know.
Well, I lost my heart to a Starship Trooper. That was a record.
It's a pretty romantic evening for you tonight, Eric, isn't it? First of all, we had Al Bowie. Yeah. Now you're losing your heart to a Starship Trooper. It's all roses and love over there at Fockham Hall.
Yeah.
It isn't it? Isn't it just?
Well, I'm trying to calm my leg down after it's been raped, so there we go.
Yeah. So anyway, artificial intelligence. I'm just going to see if I might have another little brief clip of Musk actually. No, that's not brief. That's 30 minutes. We can't sit down for 30 minutes, and I expect you all to live. I thought I had another relatively short one, but I don't at the moment. We might find one in due course. This thing came out about a week ago. Grok 3 was apparently 100 times more powerful than Grok 2. This is 10 times more powerful than Grok 3, and they're growing at a rate of knots. And of course, this is where we all get terrified of having civilization overthrown by artificial intelligence. But certainly the changes are going to be considerable. I think we can all say that, and at least you're right about that. I found a little clip here for 3 minutes. What does this one say? Let's just have a look.
Stranger
Go on.
Stranger in a strange land. Stranger in a Strange Land. That's the book.
Look, everybody, who needs Grok 4 when you've got Patrick in Wisconsin? This is brilliant, Patrick.
Well,
you need an AI named after you. I use Patrick.
1961 science fiction novel.
Really? Yeah.
Grok 4.
Anyway, these things are... I'm going to tell you something I did the other day. I'm an idiot with this stuff. You know, it could save so much legwork, and it's going to. When you actually start to think about all the jobs that are getting done that will just literally disappear. This thing can... So Grok 4, apparently, they've done some bench testing, and it is, right now, the best one in terms of its... everything, you know, its interrelatedness, its comprehensiveness, its knowledge base, its ability to learn. It's the best right now by quite a margin, and it's only a week old. And it can basically, it'll pass the SATs in every single topic simultaneously. It's also got a PhD in everything quite easily, and it can self-teach. In fact, I think in one of the clips, Musk was saying that if you gave it the SATs, now that's an American exam, isn't it? What's that shorthand for?
SAT, Stanford something test.
Right.
Academic test.
Okay. So everybody in the States takes SATs, don't they, at something? Is it 18
in
or
high school, yeah, 18,
yeah.
and then they use those for college entrance exams.
Right. So it's the equivalent of A levels over here, I guess, something like that. He was just saying you could give it a SAT paper and it wouldn't have even read it, and it can answer the questions accurately from just reading it at first read. It wouldn't even need to know anything about what the topic was. It could just get it right, which is interesting. This stuff's here, whether we like it or not. And I suppose most of us aren't even educated enough to know whether we're going to like it or not. And it's very easy to do the fear porn thing with it. As many of you no doubt have seen on Telegram and elsewhere, we're all going to die. It's all going to do this. Well, we're all going to die anyway, right? It's just about what you do between now and that time and whether it's much fun. And it's at PhD level on everything. Everything. So apparently it's astonishing. I heard a little example of its voice interaction qualities. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mentioned here, I think the other week I'd gone over to this website 11 Labs to listen to their voice processing stuff, where you actually just talk to the website and it talks back to you. So a lot of the legwork with many internet tasks and duties, like software engineers, a lot of that stuff's going to disappear. It's that ridiculous. I came across a website. Actually, it was from a link that you sent me, Patrick. I went over to that site. I think you sent me something about an Apple voice processor. And I was on this site, and there were links to lots of other recent AIs that specialize in certain areas. And one was called DeepSite, as in SITE. And it builds websites. So I typed in a few things. I said, build me an army worthy of Mordor. No, that's what I wanted to say. I said, build me a radio station, please, and play this stream. So off it goes. It took about 45 seconds. Up comes a website. I click the player. Bang. There was Radio SOAPBOX on it because I told it to play that stream. And I went, ooh, because I know how long, me being a bumbler with this stuff, how long it can take. So I think I've been umming and ahhing thinking, am I now old enough to become a Luddite and go, no more new technology for me, or do I have to jump in? I think probably it's going to have to be the latter. I have to get to grips with it. The thing is, it's going to be just picking the best thing and learning how to talk and interact with these things. One of the things that Musk was saying is that literally, as this stuff spreads, there's nothing that you won't be able to get for yourself. I know that sounds mad, but actually it doesn't sound mad. If you think about all these sort of logistical processes that run the world, these things are going to be able to fine-tune those. The thing that I'm encouraged by, sort of expanding the thought field out a little bit, this is just my take on it. I'm not some deep technology thinker or futurist in that way, is that the arguments that we have been assailed with our entire life about economic effectiveness and all this kind of stuff, these arguments are going to disappear. There won't be any excuse for any of them. I mean, if you've got these data centers, actually we won't have them, of course, I am aware of that. But if these data centers exist and are benign, 5,000 pinches of salt, please, with that one. But let's just be Ronnie Optimist and put our rose-tinted spectacles on. Then so many tasks that everybody does will disappear. But the government's argument for economic stuff, it won't exist. There won't be an excuse to say, well, it's mismanaged in this way, because literally there wouldn't be really much of an excuse to mismanage it, would there? What do you think?
Well, according to, I think it's Richard D. Hall, we've got nothing much to worry about because humans will always be in control of AI.
Yeah.
I think he's quite a whiz kid on those things. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe there is something to worry about. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. I really don't.
I think, well, there are certain I think things like development cycles, like me just doing that website, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a wizard. I don't write code. I don't want to. I don't want that in my head, right? I want Al Bowley in my head and poetry and stuff. I don't want all that. There's a level I go, right, that's it, enough. It's beyond my pay grade, and I don't want to be in that pay grade, and that's not what I like doing. But the fact that you can just speak, you'll be able to talk to these things, right? Now, there's lots of things with radio software. This is just my particular peccadillo, as it were, that bug me. There are things that, and I'm just thinking, because I can't find a developer or even someone to, because it's all sort of a bit hit and miss. You've got so much open source software out there that's been really good, but that has never been finished off. Now you've got an AI intermediary. Lots of end users could go, oh, it's not exactly what I want. So look, can you tweak it like this? And it goes, yeah. 5 minutes later, there you go. You're going to have it. Which is, now it throws into question, where does your competitive advantage come from? It may well revert back to being charming individuals again, as opposed to who had access to all the resources, because this is, in some degree, like the ultimate resource for any individual to get to grips with things. I mean, I'm not talking about writing novels and all this kind of stuff, or even music, although some of it's quite interesting. I think I played a song on here that I'm sure is AI, but I quite liked. But I've mentioned a guy, there's a music channel on YouTube run by a guy called Rick, R-I-C-K, Beato, B-E-A-T-O. It's excellent. It's really good. He's got something like 6 million, that number again. I'm serious, he does. He has 6 million subscribers. And he just did a video within the last 24 hours saying, this guy, Eli Mercer, and his new song is absolute crap, and I'm going to tell you why. And when you go into the video, basically, Eli Mercer is an AI-created chap that he created, and he's going through why the music is just all derivative. Now, I'm not looking to it for those sorts of things, or, people cranking out reports and writing stuff, because it removes that human element. But in so much of the grunt work of coding and stuff, it is going to be quite a shake-up. You won't have to go through software engineers to get things sorted out. That's a big deal. It's huge.
You think of the things that came in that are really our slaves. For example, wash day used to be a big day when mothers did their washing, and it was the whole day, Monday generally, where they take a day to do all the washing. Now you just chuck it in a washing machine. You go and do something else, and the washing machine does it for you. And I think that all this AI stuff should be our slaves, But the only thing I can see that's going to happen is you'll get into a car and you'll tell it where you want to go, and it goes somewhere else because the government wants to talk to you about something or whatever. That's what I see happening. You can't open the door. I'd like to go to Sainsbury's, please, to buy some bacon.
No, we're taking you to the super prison in Northamptonshire. I don't want to go there. Have they got any milk?
Yes, and you'll see cars going past with people going, banging on the side with help, let me escape, and things like that. Mm-hmm. I've got that feeling. I really have that feeling that that's going to happen.
It all depends who gets. I mean, look. Do we trust the whole arena with the communication? It's not, you can't comprehend it now. It's gone bonkers, hasn't it? Isn't it bonkers?
It reminds me of the story of the golem.
Yeah. Which one?
Golem?
Which one?
Well,
the Jewish golem? The golem.
Yeah, that
Jewish
one, the
golem.
Jewish golem, where they make a golem to go after their enemies, and then it ends up turning on them or going wild, or
Yep.
They're different versions of it, but I think
well,
that's
maybe
kind of
it
what's
will.
happening.
Maybe this will be our new super high-tech golem. But speaking of old Jewish tales and the golem and that, somebody who knows a thing or two about that is Eli James, and he's finally managed to get himself out of the shower and run back, and he's here with us in the show. Eli, good afternoon to you. How are you?
Yeah. I trust you can hear me okay.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Yeah, we can hear you really well. How are you doing this good afternoon?
Yeah, well, I'm doing okay, but the world is in chaos, and I don't know what to do about it.
No, I thought you'd just been
don't know.
doing something about it now. You just said you had Did your emergency get handled quite well?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Customer had a leak. We had a repair the other day, and we went to the job, and I didn't realize it was a double wide motorhome. I thought it was a regular home, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the plumbing in a double wide motorhome in all motorhomes is flexible. We call it PEX, P-E-X, and that requires special tools. And we didn't have the special tools, so we left, and we suspected we might have a leak, and we did. Right. So I came back with the right tools and fixed it, and the lady's happy. Okay.
Right.
You know, life is good. The lady's happy.
Yep. Well, that's good. Well done. But other than that, the rest of the world's in complete chaos, is it?
Yeah, medically, financially, intellectually, you name it, everything has gone awry. And only a Jewish golem can fix it. Right?
Yep.
At least they think they can fix it.
Yep.
But we know that's not going to work either.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
So where are you guys at the conversation?
Oh, it's a typical sort of Thursday conversation where we start off somewhere and end up in a completely different place. We've just been talking about. We could talk about this for the rest of the show, but we don't have to. We've just been talking about the arrival of Grok 4, courtesy of Elon Musk, and that this is the new class leader in AI services, and is apparently free to everybody to use, and some of the impacts that this will be having. There will be good things that come out of it as well as bad. I suppose our minds tend to sort of want to drift over to the bad stuff, something like that.
Right. Well, of course, AI is nothing but about total control of everything we do, pretending to be our helpmate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And our helpmate is not going to be as good as Eve was, even though she didn't hold up her end of the bargain.
Yep.
We're in trouble if we allow it. But I think it's not going to work because there's too much to do, and there's nobody who can really control it all. Okay, and plus there's too many thieves have their hands in the till to wreck everything. So it's we were just talking about this the other day, where there's so many scandals, left, right, over, under, sideways, down, that mass media can't cover all the scandals. So the only people really covering the scandals correctly anyhow are independent journalists. So independent journalists are outshining mass media, by leaps and bounds, and people are abandoning mass media in droves. So I don't know how they think they can control us under these circumstances.
I agree with you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Is that I'm sorry to be technical trouser microphone obsessed Paul, but there's a little bit of sort of rustle coming from you. Is it to do with your mic lead or something? Yeah, there's a little bit of waftage coming in, and we're just getting a bit of sort of rumbling.
It's probably my humidity fan.
No, it's gone now. Now that you've leant forward, it's gone. I think it was.
Right?
The cable was swinging around a bit. Yeah, it was causing a little bit of interference on the sound mix, and you know that. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be the gremlins running around up inside my roof.
Yeah.
Could be them too. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I sent you this article about the Pergamos.
You did.
And Pergamos turns out to be a really interesting place because Yeshua, Jesus Christ, calls it the seat of Satan. And to just briefly summarize.
Now, that's in the book of Revelation, right? That's in the book of Revelation.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yes.
And there's what I've discovered through just curiosity. The article that I sent you does cover to some extent that there were three strains of antichrist activity going on there. Number one, the Babylonian bankers who were operating in Babylon eventually got kicked out and had to find a place to resettle. And they settled in Pergamos for a while before they got kicked out again and went to Rome. Okay.
So whereabouts
Rome,
geographically, whereabouts is Pergamum or Pergamus? Where is it? Do you know?
Yeah, well, virtually all those cities in Revelation are the west coast of Turkey. It's called Turkey today.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Asia Minor.
Yeah.
And two of them are counted as good, and the rest of them aren't. So the two that I forget the first one, but the sixth is counted as good. Namely, that's America, the 13 tribes. And the seat of it is Philadelphia. So every one of these cities in the Book of Revelation, chapters 2 and 3, is a literal city, but it's also a prophetic city, looking toward the future. So those three strains of Babylonian satanic activity are the Babylonian bankers, the Babylonian priesthood, the Talmud, because that got transmitted from Babylon through Pergamos to Rome and to the Catholic Church, and of course into the Talmudic rabbis. And then you have Aesculapius, which is black magic pharmakia, right? So Pergamos was the seat of what we would call Babylon today.
Right.
It's Babylon today. It incorporates all three of those. And a lot of people don't realize that big pharma is probably more profitable than war, mass media, etc. Big pharma just makes money hand over fist by poisoning people and claiming to do us good. So that's where we're at right now with Pergamos. And
Cyprus.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's Cyprus.
It's Cyprus? Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say about pharmakia, because what is his name, Borla? The head of Pfizer is a Greek.
Oh, could be. Right.
Well, he's a Greek Edomite, isn't he?
Well,
there you go.
However you want to put it. He's a Greek, the head of the Pfizer Corporation. Andrew, something like that.
Well,
Borla.
all of those corporations, big pharma corporations, are run by Edomites, every last one of them. Okay? So there's nothing new under the sun.
No, there isn't.
Okay.
No, we've got a nice serpent on today's image. You'll be familiar with the image of today's show. I don't know whether I sent it to you. It's the one that's we used on and off.
That.
Yeah. It's Charlemagne having a pop at a serpent, which is good. And of course, we've got this. I'm just looking at Asclepius or whatever his name is. It says here, a hero and god of medicine in ancient Greek religion and mythology, and there's a photograph of a statue here of him with the snake entwined around his staff. This symbolism of the snake, either as knowledge, I know in some terms it's put across as a good knowledge, but also we rightly associate it with something deceptive, the slithering snake and all that kind of stuff. What's your understanding of?
Sure.
Because the snake is held up as this symbol of medicine, or is it of pharmakia? And pharmakia means sorcery. Isn't that right? Isn't that what it means?
Right. Well, it's translated as sorcery into English, but it literally means drugs. Okay, it just means drugs. But when it's in the hands of the wrong people, it's sorcery, right?
Yeah.
Like here in America, the Rockefellers control sorcery. Pharmakia. It's all a big monopolistic con game, which is used to inject people with all kinds of unproductive vaccines, so-called vaccines, and you go through, you waste all your money away. Cancer, the cancer industry doesn't cure cancer. These are all scams. There's not a single honest corporation on the planet anymore. And it's the medical corporations who scam people the most. They will take your life savings, empty out your bank account and your insurance policy, right? And then when all that runs out, then you die.
Yes.
That's how the system works.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Yeah, there was, I think I sent it to you as well. There was this interview with Dr. Brian Ardis, who many people may be familiar with. If you're not, Bryanardis is his surname. He's done an awful lot of communicating over the last 4 or 5 years with regards to COVID. He was the guy that began to explore the whole idea of it not being coming from bats, but coming from snakes, and the use of venom.
Right.
And also the presence of venom in many, many products, or venom-type substances. And, of course, venom is extremely dangerous to human beings.
Yeah. You're making me ill as you speak.
Yeah, I'm sorry about
Right.
I'm sorry about that. But he said really what you were saying as well. He said that pharmakia, sorcery, is the power that rules the world, and that it's the pharmaceutical companies. And of course, I don't know what their market capitalization is, but it's absolutely colossal, isn't it? And if you're able to poison people, which they are on scale, it's a devastatingly effective weapon for keeping everybody off balance, which I think we could say most people are off balance to a great degree because of what's been happening, particularly over these last 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Yes. Amen. And you could also include not just legal pharmakia, but all illegal pharmakia, and especially drugs that get you out of your normal state of mind, right?
Yeah.
So there's 3 areas of pharmakia that are really devastating, let alone the actual poison. Fentanyl, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the opioid epidemic. I mean, this is legal. This is legal murder, the opioid epidemic, right?
And that's
and then you got the street drugs.
Is fentanyl the Sackler family predominantly? Aren't they the family that's responsible mainly for fentanyl?
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Right.
Well, it's one of them. The opioid crisis. Yeah, the Purdue Pharmaceutical is the company they owned. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And they in the UK.
Yeah.
They run that.
Yeah. But let me read here. This is very good. Excerpt from Studies in Revelation by Hampton Keithley III. That surely sounds British to me. Anyway,
Yes.
Pergamum was very wealthy, the center of emperor worship, with many temples devoted to idolatry. This was the place where Satan's throne is, Revelation 2:13. The phrase has been applied to the complex of pagan cults of Zeus, Athena, Dionysus, Asclepius, or Esculapius. It's spelled in different ways. And that's, of course, the symbol of modern medicine is the staff with 2 snakes twirled around it. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why the snake? Well, because they're selling snake venom. They used to sell it in the old days, and every other kind of poison. So that's what the serpents entwined around the staff symbolize, and that is not God's pharmacy. It's the devil's pharmacy.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, the Adalid kings, remember, the Adalid kings controlled that society around Pergamos. It turns out that the first Babylonian priest who was kicked out, he was the leader of the Babylonian priesthood in Babylon. His name was Attalus, Attalus. And so he was the one who was kicked out of Babylon by the Persians.
Right.
Okay, so they had to go somewhere. And so they went to Pergamos because they had a lot of friends there. Right? Their friends were already there. Now, in addition to this stream of poison pharmakia, they also had this. They worshipped in Babylon. They worshipped this fish god.
Yes.
This fish god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the main god there was what did they call him? The Pontifex Maximus.
Oh,
Pontifex Maximus.
Yeah, that's where it came from. The original use of this word pontifex, originates there, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Nimrod and Semiramis had their fertility cult. Okay, but that fish head god became the mitre of the popes. You know, that cap they wear.
Yes.
With the big opening at the top. That's Dogon. That's Pontifex Maximus.
Yeah.
Right? And the Roman emperors had that title, which means high priest of Jupiter. And so when that religion went to Rome, the papacy accepted it. They're called the Pontifex Maximus even today. They have never rejected this pagan title, and that's why they're called pontiff.
Yes.
So you have these three strains of emperorship, poisoning the mind, poisoning the body, poisoning everything. And so we've got it all on a global scale today. So what we're being told in Revelation 2:13 is, well, this was local at that point in time at Pergamos, but today it has grown into a multinational global enterprise called the UN, you name it. It's globalism. It's become globalism. And this is how they control us, with those three strains, with false religion, false medicine, and false everything else. Okay, false government. Okay.
Yes.
So welcome to the New World Order.
It's lovely. We're all enjoying it tremendously, aren't we, chaps? Yes.
Yeah.
There was
especially you guys in Britain.
Yeah, I mean, in that interview with Ardis, one of the things he talked about with regards to snakes and this whole, I mean, I've only just begun to sort of skirt around it as a topic. It's a fantastic interview. I should probably put it up somewhere. I mean, he talks about, in the early stage of the interview, he talks about his life as a Mormon, and it's a fascinating sort of, because he was fully into all of that. And when he's describing, when he's describing his youth and the family life that they had as Mormons, it does sound fantastic. It ticks all the boxes that we would want in terms of good, happy, healthy village living. And so he was completely into that. His entire family, they come from a long generation, into many, many generations of Mormons. And of course, at the time, he viewed, as he would do, because he's in that space, that Adam Smith was all right, you see. The guy that basically discovered, so he says.
The economist.
Yeah, the most, not Adam Smith. What's the name of him? The guy that formed Mormon. I can't remember. I'm sorry, I've got his name wrong probably. But
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith. See, they're all Smiths. These bloody Smiths, they're everywhere. Yeah. Joseph Smith, right?
Yeah, I remember because he was murdered in Illinois, in a small town in Illinois where Joseph Smith was murdered.
Right. So, well,
okay, please continue.
No, it's a very interesting, and you should go and hear it directly from him, but I'm just sort of paraphrasing really from having listened to it. So he said he got into his early 30s, and I don't know how old he is now. It looks as though he's mid to late 50s or something, but he got to his early 30s, and he'd got everything was going great. And he said a year came around when he wanted a big he said, I wanted a big spiritual experience. I needed something to move on in terms of his connection with everything and all that kind of stuff. And so he decides to go to, and I can't remember what's it called? You'd know, my name.
Oh, Utah? Utah?
Well, maybe. There's a place, Nuvari or something. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, Nouveau, Yeah, Nouveau, Illinois. That's where they murdered him. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he said He said he wanted to go there to go on this like a pilgrimage to where Mr. Smith, Joseph. My brain will start working in a minute. Where Joseph Smith set the whole thing up, and he gets there, and he said it's okay. They've been taken on tours around the town, and he sees off in the distance, over on sort of a shoreline or near a major river or a lake.
Yeah, I've been there actually.
Yeah,
I've been there. Yeah.
And they said, "Oh yeah, that's the house." The tour guides are all saying that's the house where Joseph Smith, lived with his wife and where they did all work. He said, "Oh, great." He said, "Good." He said, "When are we going to go in over there?" And they said, "Oh, we're not going over there," because this is this big change in his life. And they said, "We're not going over there." I said, "We're not going over there." He said, "No, we don't go over there because it's a different church over there." And we don't want to interact with that church, so we don't go there, but we'll tell you all about it. He thought this was extremely queer, which it is, of course, right? It's extremely odd. So he was of a mind to disobey the guidelines, as it were. And I think he was with the rest of his family, as he said it, and he said, "Are we all going over there?" And they went, "Oh, no, we've been told not to go, so we're not going." He said, "I'm going." Right, so he informed everybody, and one day, whilst they're on this trip, this sojourn there, he goes over, and they go into this house, and I didn't know any. I knew that Joseph Smith was not a good 'un. I did know that.
Mm-hmm.
But they get into the hallway, and he said the house is just wonderful. It's got these big sort of, I think these twin curved staircases in this big entrance hall. And as he's describing, and he said, I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff. And I'm going, I would be too. Right. I can just picture what it would be like, some beautifully made house. Okay. And he said, we get there, and the tour guide is talking to us. And he said, everybody else is looking at me because basically, I suppose he looked as green as grass in there. They all knew what they were going for. He didn't. He just thought he was going on, just to find out some more stuff, to reinforce what he already knew. And the tour guide said, and of course, this is the infamous staircase. And he said, can I ask a question? He said, you mean famous staircase, right? He said,
right.
Oh no, we mean infamous. And apparently somebody else in the party to someone said, he doesn't know. And he said, and I began, he said a few question marks began to spring up. And he said, anyway, it turns out, you'd know this better than me, but Joseph Smith couldn't keep his pecker in his pants, to put it bluntly.
Oh, okay.
And
he's a descendant of Henry VIII.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, maybe a long line, and that's putting it mildly. He had dalliances with 39 women whilst he was married to his wife. Right.
While he was already married.
Whilst he was married, and one day, his wife is no one else is in that. His wife is there, and they had a young woman staying with them upstairs above this staircase. And she's being sick. She's being ill. And being a caring woman, his wife goes up and wants to help her. And she said, are you sick? She said, and they get talking. He said, well, I'm not really sick. She said, what is she? It's morning sick.
Pregnant.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah, right.
And she said, and of course, there's a strict prohibition on getting pregnant before marriage. She wasn't wed,
Ooh, okay.
So they keep on talking. She said, well, who's the father? And she said, well, it's your husband. Right.
Mr. Smith.
It's Mr. Smith is the father. And his wife, having listened to this, goes into a rage and threw this woman down the stairs, such that she injured herself severely and lost the baby because of it.
Yeah.
But this was just the beginning of the unearthing of the whole thing. And it, according to Ardis, as he goes through the story and recount, so you're getting it 10th hand from me here, so you must hear it from him.
Sure.
But as she looked into it more and more, his wife, she found all these other relationships let's call them that he'd been having. And there were babies everywhere. And what he'd been saying to these young women is that, if you don't tell anybody and we get together, you and your family will be on the right hand of God. That old thing,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You get a really special, you're going to get a great place, because you're supporting the church and you're supporting me. But we don't need to tell anybody and blah, 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 blah. And there was so as Ardis is telling it, this sort of scene becomes more and more known. All these women are coming forward. And he, according to Ardis, he was killed. They say a mob killed him. It wasn't a mob. It was the brothers and fathers and uncles of the women that he had had relations with. They were besides themselves with fury, and they did for him. That was basically it. And as Ardis says, obviously that was the end of his relationship with Mormonism. That was it,
right?
Even though there's still some good aspects to it, but obviously it's built on another sort of C.I. Schofield type con man, probably even worse in many ways. So it's quite a tale to hear him tell it, and I would recommend anybody to go off and listen to it. It's
is this before Mormonism allowed more than one wife?
I don't know. It's not. It's Brigham Young apparently left that place and went off with a whole other congregation, didn't he? And I'm not knowledgeable about the history of Mormonism at all. So he goes into that in more detail, something which, of course, he's completely familiar with because he lived that life so deeply. And I don't. And I'm not even that interested in that aspect of it. But that whole side of things is what opened him up. That's what brought him into this space of inquiring then about everything. And what he then did was, he said he just couldn't stop reading. We've all been there, haven't we, chaps and chapesses? You just go, and you're into a thing and you just can't get enough material hoovered down. And you take 8 or 10 years and you just go, bingo. And apparently they were trying to save him. The Mormon church was trying to save him. And this his vicar or whatever they're called, his priest, came to him and said, "Look, I think we should start meeting once a week." He said, "Okay," and his job. They met for a little while, and his priest really contacted the main board or whoever it is and said, "I think you need to let this guy go." And they said, "No, whatever it is, you've got to keep him in. You must keep him in." He said for several years, a couple of years, he would go there every Tuesday, and they would talk about his spiritual plight. Well, he didn't have a spiritual plight really at all. He was just, and he said every week he would go and he'd take a book. He got every book on it. He said, but this says this and this says this, and he just wore that. He said this guy, he said, it was absolutely fantastic at listening to him. He's very praiseworthy of him in terms of his patience for dealing with him, but he just effectively overwhelmed the conversation with this nasty thing called truth, which has a habit of basically beating the crap out of anybody that stands in the way of it, as long as you can get to say it. Of course, this is why they shut you up.
Right.
And this led him into all these other areas of exploration, including then into pharmakia, which is a topic he moves on to later, and the role of snakes and of snake venom, and of the whole of the thing of Pergamos. Pharmakia being sorcerers, that they would, all of them will be deceived by sorcery, isn't that? There's a line, something to that effect in the book of, and we are deceived.
1823. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
Here, let me get back to here because we're dealing with serpents here. Okay.
Yes.
Like Ephesus, this is the Pergamos boasted on its coins and in its inscriptions to be a temple keeper. That is the Pontifex Maximus. And like other Asiatic Greeks, we may be certain that the Pergamenes were devoted to a sensuous and licentious worship, like the whole world is today. The tutelary deity of Pergamu was Asclepius, the god of healing. In his honor, a living serpent was kept and fed in the temple, while the serpent worship was so marked a character of the place that we find this reptile engraved on many of its coins. So, but of course, that serpent worship goes back to the serpent in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
They're worshiping that demon that seduced Eve. That's what this is all about. It's two seed line confirmed at Pergamos. Okay,
yes,
that's what's going on here, and the Pope is wearing that fish cap to proclaim to the world that he is the Pontifex Maximus, the worshiper of this serpent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
there's that thing. What's that building? There's a building, isn't there? I've seen, maybe many people have seen that photograph of that very elaborate ceiling, where the Pope is sat down on this throne, and behind him there's this horrific sort of statue of all these sort of warped human bodies.
Hell.
But the ceiling itself is literally like the head of a cobra with two eyes in it. You've seen it? You remember that?
Yeah,
These
I've seen
things,
it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no one talks about that too much.
Sistine Chapel. It's a new worship center at the Vatican. Yeah, and even from the outside, it looks like a serpent's head.
Yeah,
with its wide open mouth, and people walk through the mouth into the cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's blatantly satanic, blatantly.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with you. I know there'll be others that probably won't, but I would tend to agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I think there seems to be an intertwining of like supposedly positive aspects of snakes, and then this aspect that we're talking about, which I think is maybe the positive stuff is just sort of like a cover in terms of, you even hear positive things spoken about Lucifer, and there's certain aspects, certainly in these, well, he was a light bringer and he brought knowledge and all this kind of stuff. And you go, well, if it was just that, okay. But it goes on into other things. There always seems to be, it twists back to something dark, it seems to me, with all of these, in the end, I just go, right, I got to stop here because there's so many, almost as if they are contradictory accounts of certain things that are coming into play. But I tend to the view of, it's not a literal serpent, right? We're not talking about a literal serpent in the Garden of Eden, are we? I don't think we are. I just think it's a symbol.
A snake. No.
Yeah, it's a symbol
the
of
serpent
something.
People. The serpent people, right? You remember the clay people of Flash Gordon era?
Mm-hmm.
Remember those guys?
Yes.
Okay. They blended into the wall, And then if you walk through the passages, they come out of the wall and they'll attack you, right? Yeah, really well done. Special effects for like 1950s stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that's what we're dealing with. They worship the serpent of the garden. That's who they worship. And often in oblique ways, but in this Pergamos, it was direct. They actually worshiped the serpent because they're telling everybody, we worship the serpent that seduced Eve in Genesis 3:15. Okay, and even the dragon worship in China harkens back to Genesis 3:15.
I guess
so.
It
you
does.
have all of this.
Yeah,
it sure does. Yeah. And so this serpent worship, which comes with medicine, it probably comes in with slipping a Mickey to a woman in a crowded bar, right?
Yeah.
It's all about sexual seduction. It's all about sexual deviance, et cetera, et cetera. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So that's what was going on in Pergamos, and so the prophecy is that this would become worldwide in the end of days, just before the second coming. That's what we're seeing right now.
One of the threads that Ardis develops later on in the interview is they spend some time talking about trans people, this trans agenda, this the admixture of the genders being connected in with all of this. And what he's talking about DNA, there's a whole, which I'm not going to try and recount, it's really something to be listened to from him, talking about the whole structures of DNA. Because again, in the formation of DNA as it's communicated, as we're talking about these twin helixes, like twin snakes entwining themselves. Yeah, it's the same symbolism, isn't it?
Yep.
And he's saying that the agenda, in simple terms, is what they're seeking to do with this interference with DNA, with this proposal of this lunatic idea, is they're seeking to replace the DNA of one seed line, let's say the children of the light, with the other one, to turn everybody effectively into having snake DNA, to put it in sort of rough terms.
That's right.
That's part of this entire interference with the genome and all these other things to create what I assume is a much more intelligent and smart thing, because the snake's a real clever sort of thing, which of course would result in the removal of a kind of an emotional connection or a spiritual connection with God.
Yes. Well, in Hebrew, the word nachash, which is the serpent, is translated as serpent, but it could also be translated as enchanter, deceiver, someone who pulls the wool over your eyes. Has various meanings that really point to the fact that it was a highly intelligent being who was able to talk Eve into doing something she would rather not have done. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but this is what. How about COVID? Wasn't it fear porn that convinced people to take the jab?
Yep.
Something they would rather not have done, right?
Well, not now. Many of them that have realised it, which is terrible for them in a way. But maybe it's a good thing that they've realised. But it's also a terrible thing that they've got hanging over them. From this perspective, it is, and this is the perspective that I hold right now. I've got no evidence to suggest otherwise. Yeah, it's a very, very bad thing. Eric, I was just wondering, do you have any comments, Eric, up to now, or anything you'd like to throw into the mix?
It's very, very interesting because this serpent, it comes out. For example, look at Alfa Romeo cars. There's a serpent on that logo.
Yeah.
It's in the medical industry, especially the NHS. Look at doctors as a serpent. Yes, our National Health Service, or Health Service as it's known now. So this is all kind of, shall we say, hidden in plain view.
Yes.
What's being said. It's quite interesting. Yes.
Amen. Yeah, well, you can go on and a lot of the logos of various international corporations have the 666 incorporated some way or another. Okay, and that symbolizes the serpent as well. So it is in our face, but very, very. There's no publicity about these things. So that's why I'm glad Brian Ardis is exposing this stuff. It has to become more public, and like I tell people, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist. Tell me what you believe, and I'll explain to you why it's a conspiracy. Okay, all right. And nobody bats an eye when I say that. Okay,
Yep.
if you go online and then you say something that's conspiratorial, Snopes and other places will say, "No, that's a conspiracy. You can't believe that." But then somebody said it online the other day. Yesterday's conspiracy is today's front page headlines, right? So they can't hide it anymore. They can't hide it anymore. And the only people who believe this, conspiracy theory nonsense, that there are no conspiracies, are the uneducated, and then the uninterested. Everybody else has figured it out already.
Yeah, it's the ones that have self-censored, really. I mean, it's not. I think the term as well, conspiracy theory, is falling into it's a joke of a. It's not an insult.
A joke. Yeah,
it is a joke. Right. It's a joke because actually, those people that question things and come up with theories about stuff, their theories are much closer. We can't say that they're absolutely true, but they're certainly far less in error to such a degree that you really have to say that for now they are the truth because, barring the presence or the arrival of new evidence, these things stack up. And it's not really conspiracy theories. It's conspiracy analysis based on deep, wide, interrelated reading and study of all sorts of things. It takes a while, of course. It's not been easy to do it all, but it certainly has been possible since the internet arrived. I know that's a bit of the old cliche, but it's true.
Yeah.
To get to grips with all these documents and everything that have been effectively, kept out of view.
Yeah.
And it's just another I mean, all these different ways of describing this spiritual war, the spiritual wickedness in high places. It comes in many forms, doesn't it? This is, the pharmakia thing. It's just very interesting to note that pharmakia means sorcery. And then everybody goes to the pharmacist and that they're working on you. I mean, we're talking about drugs and things. Yeah. When you were in Vietnam, we've got a received view here that drugs were prevalent all over the place in the U.S. military. Is that the case? As someone who was there, you would have seen it, I guess. So, was the performance of American troops, being interfered with, of course, by the presence of drugs?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the whole reason we were there in the first place is to sneak psychedelics out of Central Asia. Central Asia, right?
Yeah.
And what was the country nearby? There was the main center of opium and cocaine and all that kind of stuff, and that was being smuggled in from Southeast Asia to America via our airplanes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so and then often stuffed into the corpses of dead soldiers. So it was a big drug operation run by the CIA. That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you think, obviously alcohol has been with us for thousands of years.
Demonized.
Yeah.
Alcohol is not really that bad.
Well, not in comparison to the other stuff, but it does impair performance, doesn't it? I mean, I know they say that the Egyptian slaves were paid in beer. And there is that old phrase that beer is a sign that God loves us and wants us to be happy. And I think old ale that wasn't so strong. I mean, I'm not trying to be again, it's down to each individual to sort it out. But it does impair your performance. If you think about it, that it's generally subduing everybody, which it does, and you do pay for it. And if you're a heavy drinker throughout your life, you're unlikely to have too much cognitive ability as you get older. You will pay for that.
And it loosens your morals too.
Yes.
Right?
It does.
It loosens your morals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that that Nakash slipped Eve a Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was a drug called soma in the ancient world, which was used to intoxicate people.
Right.
And I'm not sure of whether it was alcoholic or something else, but intoxicants have been around since the beginning, right? I mean, you go to South America, Central America, peyote, they make intoxicating, mind-altering drugs out of everything. Mushrooms, the sacred mushroom, right?
Yeah.
So everywhere you go, this is prevalent. It's prevalent, okay? But Paul said we need to be sober. How boring! How boring! We need to be sober. Is
the history of the evil in the world a history of drugs?
Oh yeah, that's right.
of, effectively drugging people and getting them to do things. I mean, of course, we know that they're doing that to this very day, but I've never been interested in drugs. I'm so boring, but I just haven't. I just thought, well, what's wrong with a cup of tea? And
you're one of those boring Englishmen.
I really am, man. I am. I just go, why would I want to do that? I mean, it's messy enough in here as it is. I don't want anything else messing it up. People go, oh, no, it's a lot of fun. I'm going, I don't get it. I just really don't see what's fun about this. It's just weird.
Well, it's fascinating because I had an in-country vacation they call R&R, rest and relaxation, right?
Yeah.
So I went from my station, which was very close to the DMZ in the north. My unit was held just south of it was airborne that patrolled the DMZ,
right
south of it, of course, South Vietnam, and something sniffing at my leg here. and then my unit was just south of there, and I went to visit a friend by the Mekong Delta, right? The big presence there. The Da Nang Airport was down there. No, not Da Nang. It was another town. But anyway, heavy presence down there at the Mekong Delta. And so I went to visit some friends down there. And so I got there, and everybody was using. Everybody. Okay, so, hey, Eli, would you like some mescaline? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll try that.
Right.
They had everything.
Yeah.
And, so the military pretended to be opposed to it, but the military was actually distributing it. Okay. Maybe the staff sergeant, maybe the company sergeants were, bamboozled by all this stuff. But no, it was all about drugs. Vietnam War was all about bringing drugs to America and selling them around the world. That's what it was about.
Did you...
and the CIA was behind
Did you ever get any
evidence
of fracking, whatever they call it, where they throw a fragmentation grade into a senior person's tent so they didn't have to do anything dangerous the next day? Did you get any fracking at all?
Yeah, it happened to my commanding officer. I can't remember his actual. Yeah, we called him. What was our nickname for him? But he was always volunteering our company for the most dangerous duty, right? As opposed to the guy who preceded him, who would always keep us out of the dangerous duty, right? He wanted to go home too, right? Our commanding officer wanted to go home, right? And so his replacement always volunteered our unit for the most dangerous duty. And so we got tired of it. But while I was on leave back to America, because my brother was having open heart surgery, the guy who replaced me in my unit told me that when our commanding officer was shot in the leg, he started bleeding profusely, but the medics refused to tend to him. So they just let him bleed to death.
Really?
Okay. Hawk. That's what we call it. We call him the Hawk, because he was always looking for trouble. Right. And so, and he wasn't necessarily fragged. Well, he may have been fragged by a friendly fire. That's not uncommon either. But the medics refused to treat him and they let him bleed to death. Wow.
Yeah. What years were you in Nam for?
69.
Oh.
69, Tet Offensive, 69 and 70, 68 through 70 were like the worst years of fighting.
Yes.
So I was in there for that. Yeah. So it's all the rumors you've heard about drugs and let's call it mercy killing, right? Blowing people away that you don't like. Yeah, that was happening all the time. All the time. Yeah. That wasn't played up in the newspapers, but yeah, that was happening all the time.
The other thing
Eli was about the only. Yeah. Go ahead.
So what I was going to say is that it's about the only war where the cameras were right at the front. I mean, I remember seeing on the television bullets almost ricocheting off the front. There was this chap reporting in Vietnam, and you could actually see the Viet Cong running along behind him. He's down a trench.
Right.
There's a massive explosion, and he's still reporting. He's still carrying on.
Yeah, right. Right.
Cameras, I've never seen.
Yeah, as he bleeds to death.
Yeah,
as he bleeds to death.
Unbelievable.
And that's called called doing a really good job, right? Yeah.
I mean, it was the first. It was the first conflict. I mean, certainly in America, you would have got it full on, but we got it here a lot, where the daily action reels were brought into the living room every night for years.
Yeah.
It set the whole tone of the newscasts. It was always, over here it was Vietnam for years. I remember, as a child watching it and stuff, and it was non-stop, all that kind of stuff. So the first fully televised war, it seems to me, as though it was.
Yeah. Well, while you guys were watching that on the telly, I was in Vietnam listening to the Zombies' Time of the Season on my transistor radio.
Right. Did the transistor radio keep you together? Did you like your transistor radio? Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It reminded us that there was a real world out there. Right. And it was from Britain, right?
Yeah.
What is it called? That was the British wave, the British invasion.
Yeah.
It was rock and roll. Yeah. Okay. Those were really crazy times. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's overlooked that the first Vietnam, the Brits were in Vietnam after 1945, and they were 3 months away from beating the Viet Cong, but there was politics involved, and it was handed back to the French, and the British and the Japanese, because I don't know if you know the story, that there were Japanese POWs, and actually we didn't have enough manpower to hold the Viet Cong back. So what they did, they rearmed. This was, remember, 1945, rearmed the Japanese POWs, and under British command fought the Viet Cong. And they reckon it worked incredibly well. They got on very well together, the Japanese and the English. Yeah. And they were 3 months away from beating them. And it was handed back to the French. And they had no experience of jungle warfare, where the Brits and the Japanese had.
And there were Australians out there as well, weren't there? There were Australian bush guys.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But Eli, I've heard you say in previous interviews, from your perspective, that obviously you were there, but I'm sure I recall you saying at one point that your sense was that it was being organised on purpose to be a mess and for you to lose it. It was actually constructed that way from the top down. It was a commie-controlled thing meant to effectively weaken American prestige in the world. Yeah.
Henry Kissinger. Yeah, he was Henry Kissinger, right? His job was to prolong the war as long as possible. Okay. And so I can tell you a story because, I'm Christian Identity. When I was there, I realized that the war was not, that none of the corporations who were feeding all the material, including, the companies that provided the food, like Oscar Mayer, the shoes, the military hardware, the tanks, the Hueys, all that kind of stuff. The interesting thing about that war was all that stuff was made in America. So Americans were getting rich off the war. Today, wars are built in China. Okay, so the Chinese are getting rich off these wars, even though we're supposed to be their enemies, right? But we're not. Okay, it's one big corporation making war and killing people for no other reason than to keep the corporations profitable. That's what it's all about. Okay.
What was the Zombies song that was running through your head? What was it?
Time of the Season.
Well, I'm going to play it right now.
Zombies were famous.
We're going to play it.
There you go.
We're going to take a break. This is. I hope it doesn't throw you into a weird space, Eli. But you mentioned it, so there we go. No, okay. All right. So this is the Time of the Season by the Zombies. We're here with Eli James. You listen to Paul English Live. Here we're going to have a little song, and we'll be back after the Zombies.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time, give it to me easy and let me try with pleasured hands to take you in the sun to promised lands, to show you everyone. It's the time of the season for love. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he take us any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving.
There we go. Time of the season. I found that quite groovy, Eli. That stood up quite well.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that. But
I hadn't heard that in years. So you were listening to that on your transistor radio, yeah?
Yes. Yeah,
which of
dodging
course,
bullets.
as you know, is actually called a tranny. And that's the only tranny that I know is a transistor radio. That's the correct use of the
There
word.
you go.
A pocket transistor
right.
radio is known as a
that's right.
tranny. Yeah, and people used to say,
Right.
"Oh, have you got a tranny?" And we all knew either that or a transmission. But yeah, when we were kids, a tranny was getting your first pocket
That's it.
transistor radio. It was pretty exciting to get one of those. It was actually.
Yeah,
I've got one.
yeah,
I still got it, in
Yeah.
fact. I don't know if it still works, but I'll tell you what is overlooked about the Vietnam War, and that is there was a British embassy that was open throughout the war, not only in Saigon, but in Hanoi.
Oh,
Right.
wow. Yeah.
And
yeah.
the MI6 apparently reported the bombing and that covertly to the American forces so they could
Okay.
get a good
And
idea
vice
of how.
Right.
Yeah, probably. How efficient it was. But let me ask you,
Yes.
what role was yours in Vietnam? I mean, were you a grunt
Well,
on the
yeah.
front, or
Yeah, I was a grunt, and I got wounded a couple times. So I was back in the rear, and there's very little fighting done in the rear. But when you have to go out in the field, you get this heavy old backpack, and you have to drink warm beer. That was the worst part about it, warm beer. So,
we drink it all the time. We're English. We're British, do that.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'd be all quite happy doing that, Eli. We
Yes.
we grow up on warm beer. Yeah.
There you
Well,
go. There you go.
I worked with a Brit who was actually in the Vietnam War. He was one of only very few British people that was actually in the American forces. And the way he got in was in the 1960s. He was an architectural technician, and he was also an expert in explosives or something. And they gave him an offer, and he worked on an American Air Force base in this country. And he had a skill that they wanted. I don't know the full story. And they gave him an offer that he couldn't refuse. I think American citizenship as well. He had an American wife.
Wow.
And he took it. But then a couple of years later, the Vietnam War came along and he was sent to Vietnam. And he'd been blown up a couple of times. So he had bits of metal in him. But he was a man.
Yeah,
he was as mad as a martyr. But did you see any Brits? Did you meet any Brits in Vietnam?
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. No.
Well, drinking our tea and
playing cricket, Eli. They would be out playing cricket in the bush. That's what it is. Look, we can't do any fight. We've got to break some tea, and we've got to play some cricket. Then we'll do some bit of fighting a bit later on. No, it's not quite like that.
No, our friendly fire is bang. Oh, terribly sorry. Don't take it personally.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know.
Yeah, you must have had rubber bullets.
Apparently, though, the SAS were in Vietnam. Secret Air Service were in Vietnam.
Okay.
There was probably, I imagine there's so much stuff going on in Vietnam, but obviously, as you were mentioning earlier, Eli, and as someone has even put in one of the chats there, it's just a great cover for shipping drugs around, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But even more than that, Anthony Sutton, are you guys familiar with Anthony Sutton?
Yes.
He's a Brit, he wrote a book, what was the title? National Suicide, in which he describes how international corporations, including Rolls-Royce and various American corporations like Ford Motor Company, were actually building armaments for the North Vietnamese in Russia, in the Soviet Union at the time, and shipping them to the Vietnam War to fire bullets at me. Okay. I found about this after, and the U.S. Department of Commerce would give the stamp of approval to all of this. Okay. Right. And so I smelled a rat right away. My first patrol from LZ Baldy, which we called it Baldy because there was not a scrap of vegetation on top of this hill. It was all dirt because bombs and what do you call it, napalm and everything destroys the vegetation. And so it's just a big hunk of dirt that was smeared flat for a helicopter landing spot. Anyway, my first mission from that, we marched down the hill and across the jungle up to another hill in the middle of the jungle. And we all get to the top and we're milling around. There's 24 of us. It's 2 squads. And so the first sergeant starts to assign positions around the hill. Okay. And then as soon as I sat down, I heard this big boom and I saw 2 half bodies flying right over my head.
Right.
Okay. Just the upper body, no lower body.
Yeah.
And then my buddy in the dugout said, "Okay, put your helmet on." And so I put my helmet on, and then the rain of dirt came down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these 2 guys had stepped on a landmine, and I looked over. I went back and looked at the hole, and the whole company, the whole platoon was standing right there, where the mine was, and it's just a miracle that everybody had dispersed before one of those 2 guys stepped on it. Okay.
Right.
And so I asked the platoon sergeant, how did the Viet Cong know that we're going to be here? They obviously mined the place and anticipating us to come here, right?
Yeah.
And so he says, "Oh, well, we've been here several times before." Oh, okay. So how many times do you capture a target without securing the target? And just abandon it and then come back and secure it another time. I said, what kind of war is this? Mm-hmm. When the invading army makes no attempt to secure territory. He just shrugged and said, I don't know. I told him this is not the way a war should be fought. I smelled a rat right then and there.
Yep.
This war was not meant to be won. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not meant, and that's what that book is about. Mm-hmm. This war was an international corporate, money-making scheme. and then of course illegal drugs. Now the interesting thing, I when I got back from Vietnam, I hooked up with Nord Davis. Nord Davis has a website called Outpost of Freedom. He did
how
a
did
booklet
you
called
connect
Star
with
Wars.
Nord Davis then? How did you just sort him out? Did you?
Yeah.
So I guess most listeners won't
he
know
was
who
an-
he is. They won't know who Nord Davis is. He wrote there's a
Right.
booklet you can get by him called Star Wars, which came out in the early 80s, I think it was. And I know it sound, and of course you
Yes.
got, well, he's tapping in on the movie. Yes, he was, but he's talking about these two stars of the two people, the star of Remphan and the other star,
Right.
isn't he? And it's a brilliant. I think it's an absolutely wonderful booklet. I absolutely, yeah.
Well, it explains the theology of Christian identity, namely that we, the Anglo-Saxon Caucasian people, are God's chosen people, and the enemy are imposters. Okay,
Yes.
It goes into great detail. It starts out by defining the term covenant.
Mm-hmm.
That a covenant is a contract, and a contract that has been sealed by God will not be broken by God, right?
Yes.
The Israelites may have broken it time after time, but God never breaks his promises, right? And so he explains to these two Mormons.
Well, they're like that, aren't they? I think they've just been.
Yeah.
I'll try and dig up a URL for everybody, or at least I'll get a link to it. It's a document I mentioned to a lot of people. I go, if you want a crash course or something that covers the key points really well, he's
right.
He's in his car, isn't he? The opening scene, the introduction is, I don't know where he is. It looks, there's some photographs of actually that he's saying it's really hot.
Yeah.
He's in his car. There's two guys coming down. They've just been released from 5 years of religious instruction.
Students.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're students. They just go through town. Yeah.
And they come up to him and they want to talk to him about scripture. And he's sort of playing all dumb and everything. And he says, yeah, come on, let's go in for a coffee. And as he goes past his car, he reaches into the glove compartment. He pulls his Bible out, which is absolutely full of notes, right? And then he sits down at the table and puts it in front of him. And they get that look on their face. I think he says, like, he feels that they've just been caught. And, of course, they were, because he takes them through many of the misunderstandings that have just been poured into their head over the last 5 years. It's quite brilliant, actually. It really is. Yeah.
Right. So the Mormon Church is called the Church of the Latter-day Saints, right?
Yeah.
LDS, is that right? Yeah, that's okay.
I think so.
I think these guys were LDS, right? They might have been Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm not sure. But he basically explains the meanings of biblical terms, which they never understood. Like covenant means contract.
Yes.
And the contract that God makes with his people can never be broken. So that the people of the New Testament are the same people as the Old Testament, right?
Yeah.
They're not Gentiles.
Yeah.
The whole story behind the word Gentile. And so that's just go to Star Wars by Nord Davis. Just type that into your browser, and that booklet will come up. It's just absolutely tremendous biblical teaching. There's nothing better. It's so concise and it summarizes the Christian identity position on the Bible. Okay.
He tells it. He tells it in a way that's really easy to comprehend by the layman. That's what is so fantastically good about it. It's not all preachy or anything. He's literally just strips words down. I love the bit where he starts talking about grace, about what it is.
Right.
And I think the illustration he uses is that you're speeding in a car. He said, you can't have grace without law. The law, he said, the law, they said the law's been done away with. I think they say all that, and it's all. He said, yeah.
Right.
And he
that's
says,
not true.
no, absolutely not. So you're speeding in a car, and a cop pulls you over, right? And you've broken the law.
He's the law.
Yeah, he's the law. Yeah. He's the actual representation. You know the law, and you broke it. You've gone too quick, right? According to this scenario.
Yeah.
Now, the only way. Without the law, he couldn't let you off because he wouldn't be letting you off anything.
He couldn't arrest you either.
He couldn't do anything. Yeah, so the law exists. You break it, and he goes, I'm going to let you off this time. In other words, he extends grace to you. He forgives you this time because that's how forgiveness. But forgiveness can only take place in face of the fact that there's the law exists, and it actually exists. So he illustrates these points brilliantly. Yeah, I think he does a wonderful job with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Paul says many times throughout the New Testament, do we thus destroy the law? Absolutely not. We don't destroy the law. He's talking about the sacrificial law, yes, that was done away with because all the sacrificial law pointed to the coming of Christ.
Yes.
And when he came, guess what? The Levitical priesthood was dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
That was their function, is to offer sacrifices until the coming of the Messiah. That's absolute proof that Jesus is the Messiah, right?
Yeah.
Because the Levitical priesthood was dissolved, okay? But getting back to Vietnam, Lord Davis was actually instrumental in ending the Vietnam War. And it was a point in time where Richard Nixon, I believe, really wanted the war to end. But he couldn't because there were too many corporate interests, banking interests. And let's face it, the medical industry. The doctors got wonderful training in Vietnam. For example, they had to do reconstructive surgery on my left ear because my left ear was partially blown away. The earlobe was blown away.
Right.
And so the doctors said, okay, well, let's cut a little from your right earlobe, put it on your left earlobe, and you'll be, what's the word? Stereo, right?
Okay.
Symmetrical.
So you've got you've got reduced lobe size. You've gone down
That's
a size
right.
or two in lobage, have you? Okay, I didn't know
Amen.
that.
Amen. Okay. Yeah. And then the frag is still stuck in my skull, so I can't go for an MRI, right? I might stick to the machine if they put me in there, right? Or something go haywire.
Right.
So anyway, Lord Davis, he was already Christian identity. He was already a conspiratologist. And he had a plane, an airplane, that he was flying across South Vietnam for one. I forget why he was there, but it was a cargo plane.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cargo plane. And he found out about the dredge that has to dredge Haiphong Harbor in order for international shipping to come from the Southeast Ocean to Haiphong Harbor. Okay. Without this dredge in constant operation, none of these seagoing ships could get to the harbor. So he found out. Now, every country in the world knows this. The Soviets know it, the Americans know it, the British know it, the French know it. If this dredge is not in fully operational mode, none of these ships can get from the ocean to the harbor.
Yep.
So he thought to himself, okay, if I bomb this dredge, this will create an international sensation, and people will be asking the question, especially of Richard Nixon, why didn't you bomb this dredge in the first place? This dredge keeps the shipping lanes open for international trade with the communists.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And so, see, he sent a message to none other than John McCain's father, Admiral McCain, who was in charge of the Pacific Fleet at the time. And he said, and he went to visit him.
Right.
And said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. If you don't put an end to this international shipping between the capitalists and the communists, I'm going to do something drastic. But he didn't tell him what he's going to do. And he just laughed and sent him on his way. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he's got this freighter, an airborne freighter, a cargo plane, and he does a trial run. So he takes this cargo plane and flies right over the dredge, just to show everybody he can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so he called Admiral McCain, and Nixon found out about it too. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. If you don't put an end to this dredging operation and stop this international trade with the communists, I will blow up this dredge, and the whole world will know what phonies you people are. Okay.
Wow.
And so, yeah, nobody would listen to him. So he went and got a bomb. He went and got a bomb and was going to drop it out of the cargo bay as he flew over the dredge.
Yeah.
But something went wrong. He couldn't get the bomb to fall properly. But nevertheless, Nixon got the word. This guy's serious. He can blow up this dredge, and we'll all have egg on our faces. So that's when Nixon ended the war.
That was 71, 72, 73? What is that?
73.
73.
Yeah.
That is some tale, Eli. That is amazing. I didn't know any of that.
Oh, Eli, that's fascinating. Because I always thought that Nixon wasn't supposed to end the Vietnam War, and that's why they had Watergate as a punishment for him. Am I right there? Could be. Yeah.
It could actually be. But, their hand was forced by none other than Lord Davis, who probably later became a Christian identity teacher. He came home in North Carolina and started teaching Bible studies.
Yeah.
It's wonder he carried on living, though, isn't it? It's a wonder he carried on living.
Oh, yeah. Well, they murdered him. They eventually murdered him.
Really?
He started reporting about black helicopters strafing his property, and eventually he died. But I think they were doing, irradiating him. He eventually died of cancer, and he was a health nut. He didn't eat any artificial preservatives or anything like that. So I'm convinced they irradiated him and caused him to die of some form of cancer. Okay. But Nord Davis Jr. is should be an international hero for putting an end to the Vietnam War. But I believe Nixon actually, he got tired. He was taking so much heat but he didn't start the war. LBJ started the war.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody forgets about him. He's a Democrat. Right? And so, they're all warmongers. But I think Nixon actually wanted to end the war because everybody was getting tired of it. Right? And so this gave him a good excuse to end the war. Yeah.
What about when they sent sorry, Paul,
no.
after you.
Well, I was just going to say the Watergate thing when you were talking. I mean, of course, Watergate at the time, I'm a young teenager, so it's true, right? But it turns out to be complete horse manure. And that Bob Woodward was basically a CIA guy and didn't know one end of a pencil of a Fockham Hall pencil from another, Eric. And that the whole thing is a total massive stitch-up. Nixon always came across as being an extremely intelligent guy. I mean, and I liked his manner.
Well,
but as soon as they'd murdered him in the minds of the public, that was it, I guess.
Remember the time that Billy Graham paid a visit to Nixon, and Billy Graham recorded their conversation. And Nixon said to Billy, we can't trust Jews. The Jews are all traitors to America.
Yeah.
And then Billy Graham agreed with him, at least in response. Whether he actually agreed with him is another story. But that tape got leaked out, and I think that's why Nixon had to go. But probably his ending the Vietnam prematurely was not a good thing for him either, right? So the people, the Rothschilds said he's got to go. He's got to go.
Yeah, we've just lost a lot of money because this guy stopped us having these people kill one another.
Billions. Billions. Yeah, the flow of drugs. Yeah.
Yeah. But what about McNamara's morons? They sent people with extreme. They couldn't even tie their shoelaces up to Vietnam.
Right. Yeah. What were they called them? They had a nickname for them that made
McNamara's morons. Apparently.
Well, that's the nick. Right. No, they were all college educated, and they were supposed to be very intelligent and bright and all blah 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 blah. Right. Of course, they were just operatives. For McNamara, his job was to cover up the Vietnam War as much as possible, and make it sound legitimate.
No, apparently he sent people with very low IQ over. That could just
that's certainly possible.
They actually did that.
Right.
And apparently,
who? Go ahead.
McNamara. And,
Robert McNamara.
They call Robert McNamara's morons. And, they sort of glossed it all over, but what it was cannon fodder. That's all it was.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was young people fresh out of college who really didn't know anything about anything. Yeah.
Who was Westmoreland?
Oh, he was the main general of the Vietnam War effort.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever see?
So, go ahead.
Carry on. What I was going to say is, did you ever see what they called Puff the Magic Dragon, which was a Dakota that had been rebuilt to knock the living crap out of positions in the Vietnamese. It
might have been a Cobra, it might have been a Huey. I'm not sure which helicopter it was.
Oh no, it's actually DC-3 Dakota, World War II one.
World War II.
What they did, they had this problem of knocking out North Vietnamese local areas, and there was a thing called they put a massive firepower onto. I think they're called C-47s, were they, in Vietnam? But they had a load of Dakotas, and then they converted them. They called them Puff the Magic Dragon because these things would fire at an enormous rate. They were just genocide
Yeah,
machine.
1,000 rounds a minute. Yeah,
Something like
1,000.
that,
Yeah, I've seen them.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw those. Every 10th round was a tracer, so you could see 1,000 rounds a minute. So you see all these tracers coming down. They basically fly over what they thought was an enemy position, and just kept firing. That's a good way to get rid of ordnance, right? And but unfortunately, one of those rounds hit a buddy of mine while we were sleeping overnight. I was watching the tracers. They were coming closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden, my buddy, maybe 10 feet away, got hit by a round and killed him.
Oh no.
Okay, we called it Snoopy. Yeah, there was just a big old freighter with tons of ammunition and a couple of 50 caliber machine guns that would just fire into the jungle, right? Pretending to hit the enemy.
Do you remember H.L. Hunt?
Yes. Yeah.
I've been interested in him because I have a little brother that plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, and his grandson owns it, Clark Hunt.
Okay.
Owns the team, and I learned that he was the biggest backer of LBJ during the campaign in 1960.
Oh, yeah, well, I think the Hunt brothers were involved in the assassination of JFK, right? There were a lot of people who wanted to get JFK. Well, because he wanted to prevent the Vietnam War. Well, he pulled the advisors out and then was getting ready to pull the military out, so he had to go.
The assassination took place just down the road from Hunt's Dallas office.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They turned
and
the
we
corner,
all know that,
and then it happened after they saw it in the office.
Yeah, and we all know that that Lee Harvey Oswald's 1495 rifle couldn't hit the broadside of a barn door. It was a mail order rifle, right? And he was totally set up. Totally set up. Yeah. So, but all that information is out there. I mean, if you search hard enough for it, you will find. In fact, BBC did a great series on the JFK assassination and proved that it wasn't Harvey. It proved it was a conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. BBC actually did a great. Yeah.
Mind you, we got that author. Was it John
Hamer?
Hamer. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, he was on the other week, and he reckons it was something to do with the British as well. It was a very British assassination.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure MI6 is it called?
MI6, yeah. MI6.
Yeah. All these secret services, they work together.
Yeah,
Mossad,
MI6,
Mossad,
CIA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is one organization. Yeah, and Mossad really controls everything because they control the money, right? So, but all this information is coming out, and it's just a question of how long can the Zionist press keep this from becoming common knowledge. The only people who aren't privy to this kind of information are the uninterested, right? Those people who just don't give a damn, the apathetic ones of the apostate church, right? The lukewarm church. Okay, that Jesus Christ criticizes to no end because they're no good, right? He says, "I will vomit you out of my mouth because you're so lukewarm." And vomit, that's literally what it means. They make him nauseous. He's talking about the lukewarm Christians of today, the Seventh Church. Okay, and so the churches are complicit in this as well. They're also covering this up. Okay.
The JFK thing seems to intertwine every single force and agency that is out to destroy the world. Every single thing seems to be involved. The military-industrial complex, the mafia. I saw this, the whole thing about the guys that actually shot the bullets came from Marseille. There was a really tremendous thing about that. I mean, maybe John Hamer's account differs from that, but there was a really exhaustive thing where they'd been recruited. They brought these guys in from Marseille. They flew them in, they flew them out, all that kind of stuff, so that there was no trace and this, that, and the other. And there were just so many people wanted him dead. It's just absolutely remarkable.
Well, Nora Davis did a piece about that as well. I don't know if it's still available, where it's Guy de Morenschild, Demorenschild was actually the trigger guy. He's the guy in the black cape, wearing a black hat, had 2 pistols in his hand, and he was the one who fired the first rounds at Kennedy after the limousine had gone past. Unfortunately, a woman stepped right in front of him as he was in the act of firing, and he killed her. And her brains splattered all over one of the police officers on the motorcycle. And so they covered that up entirely. So Demorenschild was one of the assassins of the assassination team that killed Kennedy, and he was fingered. And he was a friend of George Walker Bush.
Wow. And what about the driver? Because there's that film with the driver turning around. That looks as if he's shooting Kennedy.
Right.
In
that was
face.
William Greer. Greer, he was the driver, and Jackie Kennedy accused him to his face of being the trigger man.
Right.
Okay.
Jim Garrison also said there were about 30 people involved in 3 different teams triangulating.
Yes. Yeah.
It would seem, and so that they've got one cover story after another to misdirect the public for years, and then they'll bring out another one. It's as if the whole thing was multi-layered, a bit like 9/11. Multiple
and
sort of backup stories.
Oh yeah.
And when Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald, and got away with it, literally got away with it. I mean,
because he was blackmailing the police in Dallas.
Yeah.
Well, since you came on, Eli, we started off with snakes in the pharmaceutical sorcery realm.
And we're still talking about snakes.
That's what I was. We've come back to a physical representation of snakes, the actual snakes, and how they slip. Yep. The spirit of Nakash looms large. Absolutely. It really does.
Looms large, right.
Yeah. Well, and Grok sounds like the name of a snake.
Right.
I guess it does. Yeah, it could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you think of the name of the Cobra.
Snake.
Yeah, the Cobra helicopter.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So it's the times are getting even more interesting as we speak. However, it's all getting ready to implode. It's just but I think part of the implosion is going to involve central bank digital currency, which they're going to issue in Britain this October. So you guys better get ready. They're going to they're going to get rid of cash. And they're going to hope that the British society does not implode any worse than it's imploding already. I don't think it's going to work, because what if somebody pulls the plug? It's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Central bank digital currency is Bitcoin. It requires a workable internet, and you have to have electricity. Somebody is going to start bombing electrical relay stations.
Well, they've got a big challenge with producing the amount of so they tell us, producing the amount of electricity they need for these colossal data centers. I think there's all sorts of other things yet to happen from the little people. I think the little people are going to end up not being as little as we are anticipated to be. I know we all think we are, but I'm serious. I don't think it's going to go like that.
When they had Ottawa, the whole trucker protest going on there in Canada was a trial run. For what they in fact plan to do with the border crossing and a passport with the vaccines, just to see what people would do and to what point they could get people to break.
They emptied the bank accounts of the truckers, and then they set up GoFundMe accounts for the feds, and they actually had fake trucker organizations collecting money to prevent the truckers from getting it. So, man, to talk about treachery.
Wow.
Snake treachery. Yeah. That's coming to the world everywhere. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay.
We're battling snakes and serpents and spiritual wicked. Eli, it's been fantastic. I learnt some things I didn't know today. Wonderful. Yeah. Really wonderful stuff. Look forward to having you back in a month or so's time. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And more talk about snakes.
That long.
We don't have to be that long. We'll have you back in a couple of weeks. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Really,
so I'll send you some sacred mushrooms so you can really space out.
Okay, we'll do a special mushroom edition coming up in a week or so's time.
There
everybody.
you go.
You've been listening to
Pharmakia.
Pharmakia. Here we go. You've been listening to Paul English Live the last few hours. Thank you for your company, everybody on YouTube and Rumble and elsewhere. Always great having you. We'll be back again same time next week. More things to announce, and keep well. Keep good and watch out for those bloody snakes. Bye for now.
All right. Bye-bye.